Well, good evening, everyone. Cole Hauser here. I know my intro is about Transformers, J. Joe, but we're going to be kicking off doing some Star Wars talk today, especially the prequels. And I just want to introduce these fine gentlemen who's here. Isaac, hello.
How's it going? Yeah, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to talking with you guys about the superior Star Wars trilogy. I'm looking forward to getting into it. How you guys doing?
I'm doing
What
great.
What do you mean by this superior trilogy?
Oh boy.
Isaac, could you explain what you just said a little bit?
We'll get into it. Let's
Well-
do our introduction.
And we got the fine gentleman here, Lex, who's going to try to debate and go hard on this.
Oh no. I never debate. I never argue. I just inform. Also, hello. Glad to be here.
And next we have Cornboi.
Hey,
How you
welcome
doing?
in. Glad to join an old head to debate these new Star Wars fans on the legitimacy of the original trilogy. So I'm happy to get into it, debunking all your misgivings about the original trilogy over the prequels.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Good
And
luck
last
with
but
that.
not least, Ronin the Crusader. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. I know it's the first time I'm on your channel, but I'm gonna do the intro like I always do. Hello, everybody. Y'all know who I am. I'm Ronin the Crusader, and I'm glad to be here doing the conversation on the prequel trilogy. It's definitely one I grew up on.
Awesome. Well, as we were discussing the other night when we were talking on Isaac's channel, we got into some Star Wars talk, and I guess most of us agreed how the prequels. I love the prequels because I grew up on the prequels. The prequels, even though let's go back. I grew up on the OG, but when the prequels came out, it's something that was dear to me, and I really enjoyed it. I remember when the Phantom Menace, the hype around the Phantom Menace when it came out. My buddy called me. This is when I was in government back then. My buddy called me. He says, "Let's go watch this." But we had to work that day. So the only showing we can go see was at 4 a.m. So we went. We woke up at like 3:30. I went, picked them up, drove down, went to the theater. Theater was packed, and not only packed, but people were dressed up. They were in cosplay.
Yeah.
It was just. It felt like Star Wars was back, right? Compared to the sequel trilogy. So
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk
you
about
know,
that. Well, but you know what? Like just going around the horn, guys. When was like how was your first viewing of the prequels? All of you.
Well, I'd have to say it didn't compare to when the special editions came back into the theater. I was in college at the time, and we dressed up. All my dorm mates and I, we had a good old time. I was out of college by the time the prequels came out, so we
His
didn't. I
beard
didn't
was
have
only
a really.
2 feet long. Then.
it
Not
was
the
barely
8
there,
it
and I
is
still
now.
had my hair back then. But yeah, it didn't hit the same without the group of friends that I had at the time. So that's how I felt.
I think I was maybe 9 years old when Revenge of the Sith had come out. That was roughly around the same time
2005.
2005. And that was roughly around the same time they also announced the DVD release of the special editions for the original trilogy. I remember watching Phantom Menace, like I think it was after it had its theatrical release. I watched it on TV because I think I was too young to go to the theater at the time. But I do remember Clone Wars in theaters, though. I actually enjoyed that a lot. And around that time, they also had Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars series, which I really loved. That one was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching
the
that.
animated one.
Yes, the 2D animated one.
Yeah.
When General
okay.
Grievous was an absolute monster.
Oh
And
my
Fuck.
God, yes, he
High
was.
speed.
We can talk about that.
A
Like,
complete
just about how-
fast-paced unit that guy was, just going after all the other Jedis. That one fight
Yep.
scene alone was amazing. He proved to be a real menace. And I remember actually watching Revenge of the Sith in theaters as well too, and it was really good. I liked it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Isaac.
yeah, for me, I was 5 when Revenge of the Sith came out, and so I remember the hype for it. I was still too young to go at the time. It was the first PG-13 Star Wars movie, so my parents were a little hesitant, but I did see it immediately on DVD release. and I fell in love with it. And it's still my favorite movie of all time to this day, Star Wars Episode 3. And yeah, they have a special place in my heart. I have my original DVD, Revenge of the Sith, and I have my original Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones VHS still to this day. I must have watched both of those VHSs easily over 100 times each. I would just watch and rewind and watch them every week as a kid, and I love them. Same with the box set original trilogy. I did not like the original trilogy. I like the original trilogy. Just the prequels have a bit of a bigger place in my heart. You know, kind of a 70-30 for me. But I think we can all agree at the end of the day, there's only 6 Star Wars movies that count.
Correct.
I think
we
because
can
I'm
all agree.
not an OT hater. I love the OT, but the prequels matter the most to me.
Are
personally,
there OT haters?
Probably.
I would say there is because of the sequel trilogy. Because you know
Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Are there OT haters who are straight?
Probably not. Probably not. No.
the
As
thing
for
is,
me,
The ones that complain about lack of diversity in the original
As-
trilogy. Yeah.
Carl
those
Sagan.
As for me, I remember
Yeah.
growing up and my grandfather watching the original Star Wars trilogy with me, and my uncles and my mom and all that. And then, of course, once the prequels start coming out, I mean, I had Phantom Menace, the VHS growing up. We watched that. I saw Attack of the Clones and its trash romance in theaters. I saw, yeah, he's shaking his head already. Oh,
Greatest
And then
romance.
and then I saw
Ever on screen.
Revenge of the Sith in theaters.
the
as
greatest
well.
awkward romance on
And
screen.
but I didn't know at what if this is a rare moment, but I will agree with Isaac. I truly loved Revenge of the Sith. Seeing that in theaters as like that completion, that like it was people
It
may
bridges
complain
the
about it,
two
but
trilogies perfectly.
it bridges
Yeah.
it so well. Like it was like I know what's going to happen because that's how it worked out. 4, 5, and 6, and yet 3 was so good at just like showing you how you got there. I thought that was phenomenal. I thought it was great. Revenge of the Sith is still one of my favorite movies of all time. It's not my absolute favorite. I reserve my favorite films to be the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which they're putting the extended editions in theaters in January, by the way, in a lot of places.
We'll be going to see that.
I
Yes.
already have my tickets to go see on my birthday weekend. So you all, if you're fans of Lord of the Rings, you should go see that.
I might have to call off work for that.
100% will be seeing that.
It's
yeah.
Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday, and Sunday. So
I can go back because even this year, early because it was the anniversary for Revenge of the Sith,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
you know I made sure I had tickets for that and I went.
Me too.
I think I went because here it was only open. It was only here in theaters for about a week, but I made sure I went at least 3 times because, especially that opening scene, with the Venator
space
Star
battle?
Destroyer,
Yes.
and just
Mhm.
going into that space battle, the thump was just it was chilling.
I will have to say that episode 3 did feel more like the original Star Wars than the first 2. But I understand, being a 6 movie long story, the 2 setup movies are gonna be a little slower and a little more backstory heavy, shall I say.
Well, I gotta ask this just so that way I have a better understanding. Because so I'll have to clarify on this. I am a Star Wars fan, just not to a huge degree like a lot of other people are. But I do love Star Wars, though it is a great series. But I guess the question I'm trying to ask is because I hear a lot often that Revenge of the Sith is like the closest Star Wars film in comparison to Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. So how much hands-on was George Lucas with Revenge of the Sith? Or better yet, let me ask this. Did he have anybody whispering in his ear with Revenge of the Sith like he did with Empire, New Hope, Return of the Jedi? Because those 3 films, like notoriously or rather famously, are great as they are because it wasn't just solely George Lucas doing everything like how he does in the prequel trilogy.
Well, yeah, his wife at the time edited the original trilogy, and she wasn't around, I don't think, for the prequels.
Oh, okay.
I think you're right about that. Yeah, I believe George Lucas's fingerprints are all over the prequel trilogy, and he had more instruments and ability, to implement his vision.
And he directed all three as opposed
Yeah.
to the originals. He only directed
Exactly,
the
yeah.
original.
I think that's
No,
why
so-
I believe the prequels are more in line with his vision of the Star Wars universe than
No.
the
I
OG.
absolutely agree on that, but sometimes that vision may not always be, I don't want to say executed properly, but like there's something, I guess, strange, shall we say, about that vision, because you have to take a look at the original trilogy, right? That one was perfect as it was, with like a perfect blend of like action, a little bit of politics in it. There was, of course, that mystic storytelling in there as well. And then when George Lucas has control of the prequel trilogy, Phantom Menace, you're talking about trade federations and separatists and a lot of political jargon that's going on that I imagine alienated a good portion of people. Like they still went and watched it, and like the fan base still more or less looks back at it fondly. But when it first came out, like obviously it was jarring to see that George Lucas, now having full control of Star Wars, was just jumping straight into the politics. You know what I mean? Which I know that that's what Lucas wanted to do, especially with the original trilogy. But it's like,
And he had the money to do it at the time, too.
Right.
Okay. Well, even dismiss like any allegory or anything. I think, but I still thought about the prequels that actually worked, and it worked because that was just like reality. Like, frankly, it was like, yeah, it made sense that all right, you have this big system, this giant bureaucracy. Hey, this isn't Isaac's channel, but let me just say, not a huge fan of big bureaucracy. But the prequels do a great job of like highlighting that sense of what happens when your bureaucracy is so giant and massive and like
Underhanded deals and
the
all sorts of
underhand
stuff, yeah.
deals, burdened by like procedure, burdened by, oh well, we have to take this to committee, oh we have to take this to debate, oh,
And then they
we
frame
have
the
to-
Jedi for atrocity, and they say, well,
Yeah.
now we have to go over stuff like
Well,
that.
it-
But
It's
yeah,
great.
it's
And
funny.
1,000 years of one style of government will kind of do that. I mean, look at what's happening to us after only 250 years.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you know,
God.
the funny thing
That's
is,
prevalent.
statistically, in terms of like governments of the world, the United States has one of the oldest, like consistent governments in the world. There are plenty of other people who are like, well, are you saying that United States as a country is older? No. But like as a consistent form of government, the United States is one of the oldest. There's tons of other countries that have been around for forever, but their form of government has radically changed. United States, not so much. And then you look at like the story of the Republic, and it's like, oh, thousands of years. Wow, what do you
Well, it's
what do
funny
you
because
think happens to a bureaucracy over
Yeah.
a couple thousand years? I would.
yeah, it's funny because Ryan brings this up all the time when he's talking about Star Wars, where because he even talked about this the other day with the sequel trilogy. You don't know nothing about the New Republic. You don't. You
No.
only know so much about the.
they set nothing up at
Yeah,
all.
they
Yeah,
set
no,
nothing
they
up.
didn't.
Whereas as the prequels, they did a great job, and that's where you got pretty much that expanded universe
Yeah.
because
Right.
they of all the
It was born out
planets,
of that. Yeah.
what the storyline of the governments. Whereas I know they were trying to do that a little more. George wanted to do that a little more in the original, but you get a sense of what's actually happening, what's going on in the prequels, because you have that expanded universe than you did in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah,
My
well,
God,
with
in the
Yadi
EU
Mundi saying in Phantom Menace, we haven't seen the Sith in a millennium.
Yeah,
That sets that up. And then here we have Disney, coming in, trying to rewrite all that. But no, George did a great job. Like right off the bat, Phantom Menace. We know right
his
then and there they've had
exposition was
1,000.
good.
Yeah, they've had 1,000 years of peace. And I just want to point out, I've watched probably hundreds of hours of behind the scenes stuff. I've seen all the special features, everything. And George Lucas himself, he's very heavily into paleontology and human history, and he is a student of history. So he's not like just some, liberal arts kind of barely know anything type of Hollywood guy. Like this man understands history and human nature and the cycles of, humanity and stuff. And so it's really cool how he kind of incorporated that into his vision, And people tried to inject modern politics into George's vision. I don't even try to put a pin on where George sits on things. I don't care, because I think his story is timeless, and especially the family, father-son elements, everything are just excellent. So,
well, you go
George
into the
George is a smart
EU.
guy.
You go into the EU on these bureaucracy things, and like something you don't get in the sequels is like the EU. They very well spelled out like what was the New Republic like. Leia wasn't just some random, like the sequels portray Leia as some like rando schizo. Oh, all of a sudden she's a Jedi, by the way. Oh, and also she's this like outsider from the government who does her own thing. She's a general of some of what? Of what? It doesn't.
Well,
they never spell it out.
Well, no.
And
Well, see,
then
that's
all of
the
a
thing,
sudden-
Lex. That's the thing, is that they made her a general because of the idea that she would still be a princess is very demeaning. It's very sexist. That's kind of the reasons why they got rid of her title as princess. Like, you could have made her Senator Organa just like her father, but instead you have to give her something that's far more masculine, just to show that Leia is a leader now, a true
of
leader.
What? There, the whole. That's the question. Is like from the sequels, from the sequels. What is she
The
supposed to be
prequels,
general
Lex. The
of?
prequels.
I know, but from the sequels,
cares
what is she
about
supposed to be
those?
general of? Like the whole concept was when the sequels start, there's a New Republic. What's she general of? Why is she a general? Why does she have a military? Why is she not part of the government?
In Phantom Menace,
The EU,
you guys know like where everybody stands almost immediately. Qui-Gon is an outsider on the Jedi Council. He's more of a rebel and free thinker. Like George is just an expert. He sets this up in the prequels expertly. So
yeah, and that's the problem with Disney and the sequels, because when it came and I know we're supposed to be talking really about the prequels, but this actually goes to the sequels, where we actually had great story. We had a great storyline in the prequels than what you get in the sequels. So, and then people can, I was always one of those guys who, I fought with a lot of my friends. Oh, the prequels, they stink. They're not good. I hate sand. They bring up the same thing over and over and over again.
A lot of the cheesy dialogue, a lot of
I would hate sand too if I was a slave on a sand planet.
Uncomfortable like presentations of it. Right. Well, for all its faults, and this isn't just to like be like, oh, the sequels make us look back fondly at the prequels, but like even excluding the sequels, right? Excluding the sequel trilogy, the prequels do actually still have a lot more merit than people like to give it credit for. The fact that George Lucas himself did have complete control. And again, I'm not trying to sort of like question whether or not it was good or just because he had complete control. I think that he still did a really good job with it. His execution of his own vision is a little strange in my book, but ultimately it is still pretty good because he's bringing what he really wanted to see with the entire like universe of Star Wars to life. He himself is able to do it, and it came out pretty well, warts and all.
Well, plus he was from a group of people that knew how to make movies back in the 60s, 70s. They perfected their craft back then. These directors and movie makers today, they're nothing more than actors, really, and activists.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
trying to imply that Kathleen Kennedy isn't as good as George.
And George Lucas has a passion for he would hold fan film contests. People don't remember this stuff. He would inspire a new generation of filmmakers.
They did it.
Yeah.
Well, his first movie was besides American Graffiti, but his first movie was THX 1138.
Right.
I don't know if with Robert Duvall.
Yeah, that was
so
a good movie.
And that's where you got the THX from.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
yeah, I've seen clips of it. I need to sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
And that's
Well-
about like a dystopian future, right?
Yes.
Essentially? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
Well, you know,
but go ahead,
For
Lex.
a couple, I would say, why don't we bring up like our favorite things about the prequels? And like first for me is gonna be the soundtrack.
Maybe from each movie.
No, I mean just in general, the prequels across the
Taking
board.
all three of them together, yeah. I would say for
Soundtrack,
me the
I
pod
think-
racing.
I
That
think the
was my favorite.
soundtrack is so amazing. John Williams is a master. I don't know. Look at those. Look at some of the themes that just live in your mind. The Battle of the Heroes from episode 3, the Duel of the Fates from episode 1, like those things. The iconic, truly iconic film scores to amazing scenes. Like you have
Yeah.
Maul.
Well, you listen to the
fighting
soundtrack, you can
Qui-Gon
visualize the
and-
scenes in your mind. Yeah.
and then you
Exactly.
have Duel of the Fates. You've got that duel interspersed. It's so great. It's so well done. That Sidious versus Yoda at the same time that Obi-Wan is fighting Anakin, and that score, though, those music tracks are so perfect. Like I can't even fathom.
I wish
like,
it wasn't in
mm,
storage, but I have all 4 covers of the Attack of the Clones CD. All 4 of them I got sealed, and I framed it in a shadow box. If I wish it wasn't in storage,
actually
I'd show
have,
you.
show you
Oh
here.
nice.
wow, look at that.
But that's
Very
the VHS,
nice.
right? The
Yeah,
collector?
that's a VHS.
Oh my goodness, that's
Sorry.
great.
I have to go dig it up, but I could find mine. But
That's
yeah,
phenomenal,
But
yeah.
oh, it's so good.
Doesn't that have the
But-
Ralph McQuarrie pamphlet, I think?
Yeah, it does.
Yes. Yep.
But like,
That's
come
phenomenal.
on.
Yeah.
Like, I will.
All right, now which one is your
Eventually make
favorite,
fun
Lex,
of-
though,
I
of
will
all of the
eventually-
songs?
No,
I'll tell
I
you in a
think-
second.
Mine is
I-
Duel of the Fates. I'll tell you right now.
I think it's Battle of the Heroes. Duel of the Fates is so good, and they
Lex
use
is
it
gonna
again.
Lex is gonna call me gay when I tell you my favorite. I gotta find it.
Oh boy.
I mean, yeah, but not for that. But I mean,
So,
yeah. But
I'll-
yeah,
Go ahead, Lex.
Ronin.
Go ahead.
Oh,
All right.
no, I was just gonna say, they even incorporate, of course, Duel of the Fates back into episode 3, and it works so well.
Yeah.
It's so man, like I can things, but I can't criticize the soundtrack. The soundtrack of the prequels is phenomenal. It's iconic. John Williams is a beast.
He had a lot more
Goat.
experience with this,
Yeah.
too.
There's just there's no way around it. All right, Ronan.
Yeah, I think for me, and I'll throw the curveball here because I know a lot of you guys are naming the big bangers during like the huge epic climactic fights. For me, it's got to be Across the Stars, the love theme from Attack of the Clones. That one's
Yeah.
got
I
to be
was-
my
yes.
favorite. Too. Ah,
Yes.
Isaac. All
It's
right.
Isaac as
All
well.
Yes,
right.
you
We're
robbed
sharing,
me of
we're
it.
sharing the
Yes.
same brain cell. There we go. All right.
Yes.
It's such an
The gays
absolutely
do
beautiful
band
track.
Careful,
together.
Isaac.
You
only
shut
has
your
one to
mouth,
share.
Lex. Okay.
Listen, all of the ones,
It's
all of the ones on Naboo in episode 2 are just phenomenal. The meadow
Yeah.
scene,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Phenomenal. Yes.
They are very beautiful tracks. They're very romantic tracks, and
Mhm.
yes. All right, let's talk quickly about the romance that occurs with
Oh, I've
Anakin
been
and Padme
waiting.
on Attack
It's
of the Clones
phenomenal.
because
It's phenomenal.
it's
Eat shit, Isaac.
okay. I am a sucker for that kind of romance, but at the same time, I also understand looking at it really critically, it is kind of a, well, dare I say, problematic kind of romance
Cringe!
because you're talking about a young boy who was literally only 10 years
8,
old when he
I
first
think.
8 years old when
No,
he
he was
met
9.
this
He was 9.
9 years old. Okay, well, 8 to 10 years old, let's say,
But
right?
there was zero romance in episode 1. That had there was
Oh, I care for you.
No,
too,
yes, that's what I
huh?
mean.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
he was
That was
prepubescent at the
awkward.
time, right? And
Yeah.
and like he looked at Padme like, she was an absolutely beautiful woman. I remember the first thing that he said to her
An
was,
angel,
"Are you
yeah.
an angel?"
Are you an
Which
angel?
like clearly this kid is already smitten by her. But then the dialogue that occurs when these two are alone and she's wearing that dress, the dress that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know exactly which one. and they're having that
One
conversation.
that's the
by
only one that George
fireside.
Lucas hand tailored, like himself by design. Yes.
Of course he would do that. That absolute
Yes.
breeding fuck. But anyways,
That's the only piece of outerwear that he designed himself. Yes. And all
Outerwear is a bold choice
but like
of
the
word.
thing is that clearly like Padme realizes that yes, Anakin loves her, but she's also trying to keep a distance. But she's wearing this outfit. It's just sending not just mixed signals. These are like red flags. You would call these red flags, if anything. You know that this is kind of like a honey trap that he's going to fall into, where he's going to turn into like a little puppet for her. But he seems to be more than okay with that because
was
clearly
Anakin
he
Ronin
wants to be
says
with
that
her.
Padme's
Trust
a
me, if you
groomer.
met Natalie Portman in real life and looked at those eyes, you would fall in love as well. So, you know.
I mean, yeah,
But-
Natalie Portman,
but
obviously.
Listen, she could
But-
get me to sign
I
up for Mossad in 2 seconds. I'm
Oh,
just saying.
Jesus.
I would-
Portman.
But-
So no, but
But remember, we were all young, when we first met our first crush, and
actually, yeah,
that's how
Of
you look
course.
at it.
that's the whole
No,
point,
you're not
actually.
wrong. Of course.
Leia's
That's
slave
why.
outfit.
That's why ultimately I don't. Oh yeah, 100%.
You know,
How
I'll
much
be
did you
honest
hit-
with
How
you.
many
It
times
wasn't-
did you hit pause on that VHS, Cornboi?
It
All I'm
wasn't-
saying is that's the only part that had a little static in it.
just real
Actually-
quick. That's why I don't condemn the romance. Like I understand it. I also get like why some people might find it uncomfortable. Ultimately, I still like align myself with it. I like the romance, and ultimately it's a tragic one, but it's kind of an interesting one regardless.
I love it because he's a slave boy with a higher calling. She's a princess. It's like the dynamic is like he's very insecure. He's very
Princess.
insecure
She's a queen.
Right.
about himself, but he's
Yeah, she was
chasing
never
this
a princess. She was elected queen.
She's queen.
Queen
She's
Amidala.
not
Yeah,
a prince.
but when I mean princess, I mean royalty. She's essentially
royalty either. I mean, that's
whatever. She's a high class citizen.
precedent in
Yes.
in their society.
He goes from slave to that.
I mean, it
I
is-
can understand the
Uh,
the friction there, and yeah,
Right.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I found it, because we'll always go back to that scene, when, he's eyeing her. Well, even when he first saw her again, but the
Mhm.
scene when they're on Naboo, like I get what he was trying to say and what he was trying to do because he's love struck. So where is he supposed to really go? He's got to, she's feeling uncomfortable. He's trying not to make her feel uncomfortable because he's in love with her. So.
And
And
they're
you know
both
Palpatine
from
set that
romance,
all up
too.
too because he knew about his weakness for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
May I begin?
You know,
my
she has
criticism
professional
of the
standing
romance?
where she can't take on a relationship, and he's a Jedi. So
Yeah. Okay,
there's-
go
there's
ahead,
that as
Lex.
well.
He wants to.
Oh boy.
So, what I do not criticize is that there is a romance in general. Crushes happen. Hey, I'm on a stream with a bunch of dudes. Every man here has had a crush, even as kids. I don't criticize the fact that a young Anakin would have a crush on Padme Amidala for a number of reasons: appearance, looks, personality, intelligence, whatever. None of that. No. All of my criticisms don't fall, well, as specific to the romance, don't start in the first episode because, oh my God, he's a kid, whatever. Kids have crushes. Like, I don't know about any of you people, but I am a school teacher. I teach a bunch of 12-year-olds. Let me tell you, they have crushes. It happens.
I was
whatever.
12 years old once. I remember.
I
Yeah.
wasn't, but I teach a bunch of people
Well,
who
yeah.
were, who
Not
are,
so long
and-
ago in comparison.
and so, I know I don't like that type of thing. I don't care, whatever. But gosh, you get into episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Gosh, the soundtrack is still perfect, and I will agree with my peers here who are like that, like the love scores and like those the beautiful like dramatic scenes where it's like, oh, they're on these fields and they're doing all these things together, like with that like
The
background
metal
music.
talking
so good.
politics
So
Dude,
good, so
yeah.
good. And then they start talking, and then it's like, okay, well now everything's gone. I don't like sand; it gets everywhere. I'm just like, oh my god, this is terrible. Anakin comes off in episode 2 as the whiniest bitch to ever walk the earth.
Yeah, but
no,
he gave a
does-
great meme
stop
template.
shaking your head.
No,
He
well,
co-
it's
he-
because you're wrong. No, it's because
Okay,
you're wrong.
complains,
Lex,
he
Lex,
complains,
Lex.
he complains, he whines. Oh my
Lex,
god!
let me
I hate them.
rebut to you. When you meet the girl of your dreams when you're young,
Yep.
you're not gonna you're gonna be incoherent because your feelings is going over from what your heart wants to say. You're just gonna be a babbling idiot. That's how it is with guys. You know, when you meet that crush.
Retard mode activated, essentially.
Yeah.
And also to rebut as well too, you also have to remember what Anakin's mindset was during that entire film. You're talking about 10 years of training that he's had with the Jedi Council. He is completely separated from his mother. He has been told by the Jedi to basically forego all sentiments of emotion, all sentiments of connection. That's what they've told him to do. And now he's no, that's the point I'm trying to make, is that now he's thrusted upon with the woman that he essentially fell in love with when he was a child,
and admitted that he dreamed about every night.
Yes, exactly. So
that's a great point.
All these years of training have been completely thrown out the window because now he's faced with a temptation that is almost too much for him. And again, he was raised to basically forego these emotions rather than just find a way to temper them. You know, that's one of the faults I would say of the Jedi, for as much as, and I imagine a lot of us here would like the Jedi more than the Sith, but the Jedi do have their weaknesses because of the fact that they don't look at emotions in a manner that you should, I guess, embrace them, but also temper them. Sure, Anakin says that we're not told to completely forgo emotions, but we're just told to be encouraged to love, is how Anakin describes it. But it's still not really enough, because human beings do need, a genuine connection. The only connection that he has is with Obi-Wan. That's it. That's the only genuine connection that he has, is with Obi-Wan. He looks at him like as a father and as a brother, and that's the extent of it.
And that's why Obi-Wan says, "I failed you too." You know, he gave him too loose of a leash, he feels. And you see, even when Anakin, the chosen one, he approaches Yoda, you look how dismissive Yoda was to, like, this is the chosen one. And he's saying he's having these nightmares and these horrible things about his mother. Yeah, go forget about it. The most powerful Jedi of his age that we have.
Right.
The chosen one.
They've been training
yes.
together for 10 years, and he still calls him his very young apprentice.
Yeah,
it is kind of patronizing. It really is.
That's the downfall of the Jedi. They partially brought it upon themselves, and I think it's framed well. Yes.
Yeah, and you can even go back to Revenge of the Sith, because you got to remember too, Padme basically, she became very naive in what she was doing, because she basically all she cared about was him. So she just basically put everything else, all her responsibilities, somewhere else, because first of all, she's pregnant, and she's got those emotions, but then she's like, all she doesn't even care about what he's pretty much done at a certain point, where she just wants to be with him.
She says, "We can run away. I have a place in Naboo. I can get the baby's room ready and all that."
Yeah.
Woman in
politics, she was very naive too. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
very
at
much
some
so.
point in here, we have to bring up the nature of the Jedi Order that shaped Anakin in this way. And we have to, if you're going to be nerdy like we are here, you're going to have to go into the realm of, like, the Knights of the Old Republic, and you're going to have to look at people like Atris, whatever her name is. The Jedi Master who basically shaped the Jedi for thousands of years, because she's the one who, like, shaped the Jedi code into being detachment, no free thinking, no personal bonds, all of that. She's if any of you ever played Knights of the Old Republic,
and we would have never gotten any of that lore if not for the prequels too. That's what
But-
dipped us, you know.
It's true.
you know.
It's true. But the prequels were informed by this. The prequels were shaped by this. Like the reason why the Jedi Order in the prequels is as strict and it's like, emotions ever. Oh, fear, dark side. Anger, dark side. Hatred, dark side. It's because if you go into the lore, the background, God, if Ryan was here, he'd be already screaming about this for like the last 10 minutes, I'm sure. But he would have been looking at talking about Atris. This figure in 1,000 years before the prequels. Famously, she dressed all in white because she was so pure. Oh gosh, she was just so great. But
You can see where that left the Jedi Council in that mindset, you know, of like we're the best, you know, we're pure, we're above reproach. You know.
Let me just skip some of the other details because I could talk for another 20 minutes about just like that character. But point is, she was extolled as like this visionary in the view of all their wars against the Sith and all these different types of things. She comes along and it's like, and the Jedi are like, we've had so many of our pupils fall to the dark side, and then all of a sudden this chick shows up dressed in all white and says, I have some suggestions. We need to totally get rid of attachment and emotion, get rid of all personal bonds, sacrifice everything, train. And she was the one, by the way, she was the one who was like, no. If we're going to train Jedi, they must be taken as the youngest of children, which does come up in the prequels.
Because they had no time to form bonds yet. Yeah.
Because exactly right, and because like you see that in the prequels, Anakin shows up and he's like, he's too old. He's too old. Why is he too old? Who says he's too old? This chick did 1,000 years earlier, and they're following their dogma. He's too old. I'm sorry. We have to take children who are strong in the Force, because if we take them once they form attachments even to their parents, like, oh, sorry, too old. And which is what in the prequels makes Anakin extraordinary, which is what Qui-Gon, was willing to die for. It was like, he needs to be trained, and then that was the whole thing with.
Well, he knew he was the chosen
Obi-Wan
one.
was like,
Qui-Gon knew that,
I will train him, and then the council lets him do it.
But and remember too, because even though, he still had the attachment of his mother. So, and that played a big role too. So basically falling in love with Padme, basically it's, I'm trying to watch my words here, but it's almost like it's a female figure in his life because he doesn't have his mother. He only has Obi-Wan, but he sees someone that he adores, he loves.
He had lost that for 10 years, and then suddenly it becomes an influence again in his life, and that's basically what led to his downfall, I think.
Well, he was also, mind you, he was also 19 when he re-met Padme, right after in episode 2. So you're 19, you're a 19-year-old guy, and you're seeing the girl that you've been dreaming of for a decade. You're gonna not think clearly,
And remember too, he's not,
Jedi.
because he's not thinking straight throughout the whole course from when he goes back to Tatooine, because at the same time he's still thinking about her, even though he's rescuing his mother, right? So
you can see episode 2 does a phenomenal job where you can see he's the young innocent Padawan with Obi-Wan going up the elevator, perfectly light side. You can see over the course of episode 2 he is shifting further towards the dark, and then he gets revenge for his mother, and that plunges him further, and then he loses his arm at the end of the movie, and then he finishes the movie off with marrying Padme and essentially forsaking the Jedi,
If you remember that one scene when Padme falls out of the gunship,
yes,
what is he wants to go get her.
Land the ship now. Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
And Obi-Wan has to correct him like the master that he is, wisdom, and says,
Yeah.
"What would she do? She can say, continue on. You know,
But
Yep.
but
don't do
what
it.
he's
Yeah.
thinking though. He's like, screw this. I need to go get her.
And also he just lost his mother, so he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not having two deaths, back to back. It's not
Mhm.
happening.
Especially considering that this was after Padme had already declared her love for him before they were about to be executed by the CIS.
Yes.
Like they were being rounded up. They were put in the Coliseum of the Geonosians. They were about to be killed along with Obi-Wan. She had already declared his love. They declared their love for each other. Luckily, Yoda comes with the clone army. They escape, and then that happens. Of course, he's not going to be thinking straight in that whole
This
scenario.
party's
Yeah.
over.
It's a shame that they left out that deleted scene where there was actually some more conversation of them, Padme and Anakin talking before they
Yes.
were let out.
Highly recommend watching episode 2 deleted scenes and
I
all of
don't-
them,
I don't know
especially
that
episode
scene.
2. Yes.
I don't know that scene. What happened in that scene?
Well, there was just more. There was more of a conversation when they were meeting with Dooku
Yes.
and what's the guy's name, the Geonosian guy, and then they were actually there was
Archduke Poggle.
yeah, and then there was a bit
Archduke
more
Poggle is his name.
conversation of the two of them when they were coming out. So
Yeah.
there were so many deleted scenes that even for Revenge of the Sith they should have left in. And I know Ryan talks about this all the time, where there's apparently a 4-hour extended cut laying on the floor somewhere.
I would give anything to see that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Finish.
me
Oh my
too.
god!
Oh, dude.
I would. Gosh,
I think it's time.
I just want to see some of the lightsaber fights. They filmed the fights. They did the fights, and then they didn't include them. Oh god, I wish I could see all those fights, because some of
Yeah.
those fights
But
would have.
in episode 3,
They
they cut out a
would've-
whole scene of Shakti being executed by Grievous.
Yeah.
In the halls of the
Yeah, that was a
Um,
deleted scene too.
Mhm.
Which
Exactly,
which,
yeah, so much good
which,
stuff.
which changes a lot of the story, though, and I think in the canon they intentionally don't include that, because I think the canon story now
Shakti,
has Shakti
like 3 or 4
doing
different
things
death
later.
scenes. Like 3 or 4, yes.
But yes,
It-
you're right. There is, and you can go if you just if you're listening right now, you can go and Google Shakti death scene on YouTube. You'll find it. The scene that was not included in Revenge of the Sith on purpose. They have now. I think the canon is that she survived and went on to do other things, but
But wasn't it in the Taranovsky? Did she die in that one?
you
When
mean
she
the
was with-
animated one?
Because
I think she did.
well,
trying
I
to
think she
remember.
did there. And then episode 3 deleted, but then I believe it was her who shows up in The Force Unleashed, and I think Starkiller also kills her in that game. I believe. I
Yeah,
think
it's-
it was her.
So
Yes.
I kind of cheated a bit, but yes, I looked at the various deaths that Shakti had. One of them is Force Unleashed. Starkiller kills her. But I don't believe that she died in the Tartakovsky Clone
Okay,
Wars at all.
maybe she was
Being-
injured, because I remember there was a couple deaths, but they picked up.
There were several
I
deaths
think
that
she
occurred
I
during
think
that
she was
fight.
one of
She
the ones
was
that
the
were
one.
injured.
She was one of the Jedi that got injured by Grievous, but
Yeah,
there were several other Jedis that were killed during that entire encounter.
and changing a little bit, I just wish we had more Grievous. Well, the one thing I wish they
Yes.
had, because Gary Oldman was originally supposed to play his voice. He was the voice actor for him, but because
Really?
of he was part of the SAG or whatever, he wasn't allowed. So they had to use Matthew Wood.
For
Hmm.
Grievous?
Well,
Yeah, Gary Oldman. You look that up. He
That
he
would have
was,
been interesting.
I would have
I'm
loved
not-
that.
I don't complain about the Grievous we got.
No,
I
know,
Matthew
like you
Wood's
said, I
an
wish we got
icon,
more.
honestly.
Yes.
Like the voice.
Yeah, I
that
wish we
got.
had more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do wish we had more.
I'm-
Grievous
Plus,
is
the Clone War Grievous was a little more filled out. You had to
Right.
watch those to appreciate exactly who he was.
Right, that's what
Even
I
a
was going to say.
Grievous
Is like
a Grievous origin story would be awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, the Kashyyyk warrior that was in Legends. So not in canon again. Oh God, I'm sorry. I wish Ryan was here. He would rant
I mean,
about this.
look-
I'm sure for
well, I
hours.
mean,
but
look,
like,
at this
Kashyyyk-
point, it is
but-
more canon.
but Grievous in Legend, he was this famous warrior who like dominated, and then it was Sidious and Dooku Tyrannus together who orchestrated this like accident that he would have,
Yeah.
where he would be in the starship on his way somewhere, have this horrific accident, and then they would, which by the way, which they orchestrated so that they could present it to him like, oh, you were in this horrific accident. We have done all these things to save you. What did we do? We took your brain and some of your other organs and we put them into organic sacks and put them into this machine body. You're still alive. Congratulations. You're still you.
Which I have to say, wasn't that CGI phenomenal, especially for 2005?
Oh,
It's just,
Oh my
it's
God.
aged,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
aged
It was
well.
awesome.
If you're talking
Immaculate.
about CGI for
Yes.
General Grievous, that was fantastic. It stands up to this
Yes.
day. And no,
Professional.
You know,
Yeah.
they really wimped them because Ryan talks about this all the time. In the Disney Clone Wars, the Filoni Clone Wars, they wimped him out.
yes.
Yes.
They wimped him out big
They
time.
Well, they had him.
See-
He always was running away.
Yeah.
I've seen pretty much every episode of that series. I saw it when it was coming out every week.
Yeah, but
and,
that's not how
he was. It was the weakest form of Grievous.
That's why I never mentioned Filoni Clone Wars, because I knew people had their opinions on that one. To be honest, I was never super interested in it because I think the Clone Wars storyline that we got with Tartakovsky was perfect. I think
it was
that one
great.
was 1,000 times better. And yes, that one actually does Grievous justice. Absolutely does him justice.
Oh yes.
Fleshes him out
Dude, he
more.
moves faster than you can even pick up with your eye.
It shows how
Yeah.
much of a
Which is the
veritable threat
point.
he actually is, because Grievous, in all the different tales that survivors of Grievous's encounters have ever said, they always say that he's an actual threat, and he's proven himself to be a threat. It's only by the time that Revenge of the Sith shows up, he's in a probably a more weakened state, but he still obviously has enough strength to try and go up against two Jedi.
Well, to your
See-
point, Isaac, by the way, literally they spell it out in the EU. They're like, yeah, Grievous moves faster than most Jedi can
Yeah.
even see, which is why he wins. Dooku, they make a point of this, by the way. Dooku always looks down on Grievous. Dooku is
Well, yeah, because he can't use the Force.
whatever the equivalent of racist would be in this situation is applicable. Dooku
Just
was
have to
like,
say, on a total counterpoint, I love Count Dooku too.
no,
That has
no,
nothing,
no.
nothing to
I
do
mean,
with this.
Dooku. What Dooku hated was any amalgamation of droid and human. Dooku, like if you look at the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, Dooku like criticizes Anakin Skywalker because he has this droid arm now that he gave him, by the way. But like he's like any like fissure of droid and man is an abomination to Dooku. He's very no, and that's not like I don't mean like are you white or black? I mean no, Dooku. It's just like if you have machine parts, you're not human. You're fouled.
So Lex, what you're saying is Dooku would call Grievous a clanker.
Yes,
Yes, actually, 100%.
hard
no.
R clanker. Yeah.
Dooku 100% looked down on Grievous as like an abomination. He looked down on Anakin Skywalker as an abomination because of his robotic arm. Grievous? No. Dooku was like, yeah, Grievous is a tool, but a monster. Dooku could not wait to be free and get rid of Grievous. You go into the legends, you go into the story, you go to the novelizations, especially like go look at the novelization of Revenge of the Sith. Dooku
Yes.
was like, I can't wait to be done with this war. Dooku was like, what Dooku thought was going to happen was he thought he was just going to be like treated as a misguided politician. He was like, I'm going to get captured here on the starship by Anakin and Obi-Wan, Well, actually, his job was to kill Obi-Wan and then get captured by Anakin. That's what he thought his job was. And then he thought, and then I'm going to just like live out the rest of the war in a polite captivity. And then I'm going to have a big, strong conversion of realizing, oh my God, I didn't realize the travesties that Grievous did and all these other people did. I was just trying to dispute some things about the Republic.
Well, you have to remember, too,
Dooku
Darth Tyrannus
thought-
is a very high-profile individual. He was not
Yeah.
a layperson. He was
Exactly.
from a very prominent family. Yeah.
Well, he was the Countess. He was the ruler of one world. And
Yes, yeah.
then he was a Jedi Master also. And then a number of things. No, Dooku thought
And
the way
Qui-Gon's
that
master,
Dooku
remember
thought
that,
that was and Qui-Gon's master. But what the way that he thought was going to end up, he thought that he was going to get pardoned by the Chancellor, his master, obviously. He thought
Well, he fully believed he was in the right. Yeah.
he also thought he was in the right the whole time. He also thought that, like, okay, we're gonna get rid of Grievous. We're gonna get rid of a number of things. In the end, he thought it was just gonna end up with like he and Palpatine being in charge. He thought that, of course, Anakin would be involved against his better judgment because he wanted Anakin out, and that was it. He genuinely thought that they were on the right side, even while they were serving the dark side.
You know, old Renaissance Broomer brought this up, where, you know, it would have been nice if they could have I would have liked to have seen Attack of the Clones broken into 2 parts, because it would have been nice to have seen a bigger battle on Geonosis, and it would have been nice if Grievous, because there was I read up, and I can't remember where, but they said Grievous was in the background, but it would have been nice to see him there in action.
Right.
I agree.
You know, like I think having him there on the battle, just
Having
going,
him that be his introduction. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
Yes.
think the beginning of the third movie was a little rushed and left
Yes.
out of some
If you only watched the 6 movies, all of a sudden, episode 3, General Grievous shows up and it's like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention this to you guys.
fan and watched all the cartoons and everything else, or read the novels. Yeah, you didn't know what was going on.
I've always been of the opinion, I think the prequels should have been 6 movies, personally. Obviously, that's not a perfect world. You can't do that
Maybe
all the
4.
time. Money
That'd be
and
wild.
everything. But no, I'm saying, like, have episode 1 be young Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, their adventures dealing with Count Dooku. And then
episode 1
episode
is
2 be
Maul.
the Phantom Menace. Have a lot more in between. Maybe
Yeah.
even have a whole movie clone centered. A lot more clone centered. And
well, and that's how I felt about Empire Strikes Back. I love Empire Strikes Back, but the Hoth battle needed to be longer. That could have
Fully
been
agree.
like a good, just seeing actually seeing the snowtroopers actually going at it.
More
And that's
ground
why
battles.
Even going back to the, for the Attack of the Clone, it would have been nice to see them battling. And well, I know they did it in Revenge of the Sith, but they didn't do it long enough for some of the battles on Utapau and stuff like that. They could have, in Felucia, they could have showed some longer
They
battles.
glossed over all of those. All of those should have all of those are stories of their own.
What
Yeah.
I
Personally,
remember.
I think the Felucia portion with Ayla Secura should have been the whole movie. That's just me.
There was too big of a story for how fast the action went too.
I remember mentioning this at the end of Isaac's stream, like when we were in the back room, we were talking about this. But I remember playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 when I was younger. This was like after the prequel trilogy had come out, because I think the game came out 2007. I think
No, it was 05.
It was 05?
Battlefront 2 came
Okay.
out right around Revenge
Right
of the
around the
Sith
same
year.
time.
Yes.
Okay. Never mind that. But yes, I do remember playing it around the same time then. And I remember playing through the 501st Legion storyline, which was phenomenal. Like it was one of the exactly, Vader's Fist. But it was one of the best storylines I'd ever seen in a Star Wars video game before. Like actually playing as members of the 501st,
phenomenal,
going through everything. This the Clone Wars, and then going through Order 66. You even see in depth like going onto these planets. You go onto Kashyyyk, you go onto Felucia, you go onto God, what's the other one planet that Kiadi was on? That's the one I'm trying
I
to
always
remember.
forget the one with the snow. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
And you had
Yeah.
like the Vanguard
Geonosis as
What a
troopers
well.
on
great,
there.
what a great scene though. That moment where he's calling on them to charge, and then he turns back and looks at them in confusion.
And here's the most amazing part too. Like they don't say this so much in the games, but I do remember hearing this in novelizations. You hear the thoughts of the clone troopers when they have to turn their weapons against their Jedi
Oh, yeah.
masters, and it is nothing but pure remorse. It is nothing
Yes.
but pure sorrow. When they turn their weapons on Aayla Secura, on Felucia, oh, that's great. When they turn their weapons on Aayla Secura, like all of them are just screaming in agony because of the fact that they have to turn their weapons on her, like just gunning her down
Yes,
there.
Yes. Oh, it's
Oh,
so
Yes.
good.
yes.
Hauser, I have all of those as well. Battlefront 2 05 is my favorite
But
video game of all time. So
but,
many
yeah,
hours into that. Yes.
I remember like we were talking about the storyline for the 501st and how those go into detail about key battles that occur between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. Notably, of course, the battle in Hoth, like you mentioned, Kohauser. You know, if they had done 30 minutes of that battle, at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes, where they could flesh it out even more,
Yeah.
it would have been perfect. Yes, the movie would be a little bit longer, but it would have been absolutely perfect just to show
Worth
the
watching.
kind of war that happens in this
Yeah.
galaxy.
No, exactly. Because all you do is get a lot of background noise where it's just like, okay, this battle happened here, but like I love the Hoth battle, like that, you know, just to see the AT-ATs show up at the first time, like
Oh,
that was
yeah.
intimidating, and it
Mhm.
was
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
oh my god, like what's going to happen here when they showed up?
No, it's a big buildup too, because you see the rebel troopers are setting up in the trenches, and
Yeah.
then like the camera keeps panning out towards the horizon because they're hearing and they're feeling something coming. They don't know what it is, but something bad from the Empire's coming, and it's getting closer. So they gotta like hasten the preparations on the trenches. And then as soon as you see the AT-ATs, it's like, oh shit.
Well, it's very reminiscent to me, that scene on Hoth. I know we're talking about the prequels, but I just have to say, like World War One, the first time. Imagine being British soldier in the trenches, and it's the first you're used to horseback and stuff, and it's the first time you ever see a tank on the battlefield.
Mhm.
It's kind of that similar vibe of like, okay, we're ready for a gunfight. What the hell is that big piece of metal walking towards me right now? Yeah.
Well, if you watch in Revenge of the Sith, right before the clones turn on Obi-Wan, and if you look in the background, you see the lats dropping in the the walkers, and it's just a
Mhm.
cool shot. But then you actually see the clones, doing their motions, moving troops up, going forward, going there.
Yep.
It's those background scenes that I love, that I
Mhm.
just love to catch. And that's when I said, you know what, I needed more of this. Needed a lot more clones doing what they were doing.
100%.
On that note, for all the criticisms I love to level, why don't we just go around? What is your favorite thing about the prequels? Like, what do you love about the prequels? And I'll start. I love it, all three of them. All three of them. I love in Phantom Menace. Oh my god, the character of Darth Maul and like that power that he brought to the stage. That duel. I mean, I know the Duel of Fates.
Shout out to Ray Park too for that. Yeah.
But like all of it, that is so fantastic. Like that was he brought such a sinister but powerful character to the stage. Like if you watch Phantom Menace and you watch that duel between Maul and Qui-Gon and you just like there's no question. There's no question. That's power. You watch Battle of Attack of the Clones, and you look at that scene in the Coliseum. They're on Geonosis. You look at Mace Windu this party's over. You look at the way that Dooku carries himself and his fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan, like all of it. That's just so phenomenal. And then, of course, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith bridges the gap between the old trilogy that we all love and adore and this story. It's like I genuinely think it bridges it perfectly. It's like
Even the
How
little
did the-
details,
how
like
did
having
the
Tarkin on the
Empire
bridge
happen?
at the end. Yeah.
how did the yes how did the Empire happen? Well, it tells you.
Yeah.
And it, like it's just I find that it's a compelling story for me of just like, oh man. And I don't know. I think of that line in Revenge of the Sith. This is how democracy dies to thunderous applause. I 100% think that has happened before and will happen again. That how will democracy die? Thunderous
Um,
applause. People saying,
yeah.
of course, of course, of course.
Cornboi, you want to go next?
Sure, yeah. Well, like I said earlier, my favorite part of all three movies was the pod racing and the games that came with it. I played a lot of pod racing in my day, and yeah, just having that sort of competition and just a premonition or a prequel, I would say, of the things to come for Anakin on his journey. Like he's showing initially that he has a future and he has a power yet to be seen by the world, and it shines through in this race, and it sets up his rise to a power in the universe. Just going out there as a little kid, building these things and following through and winning. So that's what I took from that, and that's my favorite part, I would say.
Ronin?
Man, it's kind of tough, to be honest, because there's a lot of things that I do enjoy. Like, I think the clones overall themselves are really awesome, especially even though they're not officially part of the films, like the 501st Legion, for example. But you got Commander Cody, who I believe is part of the 501st, if I'm correct.
He
Part of
is.
the 212.
Oh, 212. Okay, my bad. But the 501st is honestly still one of my favorites,
Yeah,
especially
he's
because of
Obi-Wan's.
Battlefront 2. Yeah, he's part of Obi-Wan's regiment. But I think my favorite thing overall for the prequels, it probably has to be Anakin himself, to be honest, his entire journey. Like starting off as a young slave boy who was plucked from this desert world because he was the chosen one, and he was, the chosen one that would bring balance to the force and everything, as the prophecy says, as Mace Windu would say. But I think ultimately, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that said this, and I won't be the last person to have said it, I think in the prequel trilogy, he did bring balance to the force, just not in the way that the Jedi wanted it to be. I think that the true balance that was supposed to come there was essentially tearing the Jedi Order down, because they were more or less becoming stagnant. And the manner that they were acting, it was with good intentions, don't get me wrong, because yes, Palpatine was clearly whispering into Anakin's ear and like trying to influence him and like making him side with the dark side. But the problem is that the Jedi weren't paying close enough attention to that. They weren't finding the right way in guiding Anakin away from Palpatine and more towards them again. And it seemed more like they were pushing him further and further towards Palpatine inadvertently. So ultimately, he did end up bringing balance to the Force. It just involved bringing the dark side to power once again, because the light was starting to become stagnant, essentially, in its position.
If I may, I would just add, yeah, that's actually in Legends. If you go into Star Wars Legends, it just 100% agrees with it, with what you just said. That's it.
You know what? Just just on a quick note, I might as well say this as well too. I think Anakin ultimately was the chosen one throughout all 6 films.
100%.
And imagine,
Yes.
you know where I'm going with this, because he brought balance once again by killing Palpatine in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
can get into that debate too, but I'll let. What were you going to say, Colehauser?
Well, I was going to go.
Anybody
You go
debating
ahead.
that?
You go ahead, Isaac, on your favorite.
Okay. No, that's I just to bridge off of that. That's a debate for either another time if you're interested, or later on. But the definition of what bringing balance to the Force really means, we should get into that sometime. I just want to say yes, in terms of the prequels. Yeah, I think it bridges perfectly the 2 trilogies together. I think it honors the past while showing a perfect segue into the original trilogy. Anakin definitely is the central focus, and I will say too, in terms of character preference, I'm a much bigger fan personally of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme than people are going to hate me than Han Solo, Luke, and Leia. Han Solo, Luke, and Leia are great. I love them, but I like the trio in the prequel trilogy more. I just like the characters more. And like you mentioned, Colehauser, the aesthetics, the attention to detail, the background, everything. Like I could watch these movies in slow motion and pick them apart, and all the details added. Just the pure aesthetic. I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, just everything.
Yeah, and I guess some of
I
my
could go on for days.
some of my stuff. I love Phantom Menace. I love Attack of the Clones. I love Revenge of the Sith. The fight between Obi-Wan. Well, even the fight between Qui-Gon and Maul before they got to their ship. I love that quick, fast scene.
Yes.
Love the clones. Commander Cody is one of my favorites. I always said if Commander Cody and the 212 were on Endor, that battle would be completely different. Like the Empire would have won.
Right.
And then Revenge of the Sith, from start to beginning, just such a great, powerful movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Revenge of the Sith on its own, I can watch as a solo movie.
Depending on which
yes.
version of Legends you're looking at, Commander Cody was alive at that time, but dismissed from any position of authority because the Empire is a bureaucracy, and bureaucracies suck.
Well, that's what caused them to fail, basically, because like having this is why I loved about the clones, because the clones, they weren't ones who retreated. They ran into the battle and fought.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about how they, like in that one scene in Revenge of the Sith, they run towards the droids. They're going right in there.
Yep.
They're
bred for a single purpose. Yeah.
As Obi-Wan said in the beginning, they are doing their job so we can do ours.
You go into Legends on the clones, like Palpatine wants to introduce these stormtroopers and get all these non-clones into the military because he thinks he can control them more easily. Like honestly, that was actually one of the things. Like you go into Legends, you go into the lore. The Empire gets rid of the clones because they're afraid the clones can be too manipulated by somebody else. But oddly, an extraordinary thing, if you go into Legends, is that Vader refuses normal stormtroopers, and he retains in the 501st.
That's Anakin peeking through. Yeah.
Yes. He retains in the 501st his clones. He only wants the clones in his personal legion, battalion, whatever you want to call it. Because he knows he can rely on them, and he knows they trust him both ways. It's actually really fascinating. You go into the lore on that topic. There's
Emperor, comics, all sorts of stuff where some of the clones are like, oh, this Vader guy reminds me of General Skywalker, kind of. There's all sorts of bits like that. Yeah.
The Emperor is like, we're gonna get rid of the clones, and then Darth Vader is like, no, 501st, we're keeping the clones. Well, these are my guys. And what's really funny or odd about it is that no, I don't mean he like breeds new clones. I mean he just kept the clones so
Yeah.
that by the time you get to the time of like Luke rising and like the the normal trilogy, all of his soldiers are old clones. It's
To
unique.
your
If you go into the lore, that's the way it is.
Go ahead, Ronan.
No, I was just gonna say to your point, Kohlhauser, about like how the clone troopers really act in battle. I couldn't help but remember Captain Fordo in the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars when he's having to defend the one
The
position
bridge.
when he's defending the bridge, and it's just him dual wielding against a whole bunch of droids, whole bunch
Yeah.
of battle droids there. He and his ARC troopers are just trying to like hold the line. It's oh my god, it's absolutely amazing. But yes, that's exactly how the clone troopers are, because like what you say, Isaac, they're bred for a single purpose, but they fulfill that purpose to a T. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, then because then you can look at, well, you know, were those clones in A New Hope at the beginning? You know, when they stormed the tentative, you know, were
A few
those
of them.
clones on Hoth, because they were easily able to overwhelm the defenses of the rebels.
Yes.
You know,
Clones would have been
Well,
old
when
by
you make it,
that
when
time,
they
too.
breach the facilities on Hoth, they feel like clones a little bit there. You know,
Yeah,
with
well-
their aggressiveness. Yes.
well,
Mhm.
as to your point, Lex, so think about this.
But they would have
Um,
been even if not, the troops would have been trained by the clones. So it doesn't matter. Their
well, I mean,
commanders
I-
would have been clones.
Well,
That's
again,
true.
supplemental material like Battlefront 2 suggested that the remnants of the 501st were there on foot during the Battle of Hoth. So you could
In
have had a
command
mix of
positions.
both trained soldiers
Exactly.
and clone troopers. You
But
never
it
know.
all depends when they phase them out, right? They
That's
should have
true, yes.
kept them going to a certain point, right? Until they got them. Because remember,
Palpatine wanted to phase the clones out early.
Well, they also age twice
Vader-
as fast too. So
Yeah.
10
Right.
years is 20 years for them. Yeah.
Mhm.
But Vader didn't care about that. Vader wanted his clones in his armory. His commanders would have been clones. Sure. They were old. Maybe he had an army of stormtroopers who were young and recruited, but his commanders, his trainers, they were the clones. The clones that he had, always relied on, and who knew him and trusted him. That's actually I think in Legends, one of the neat things about the 501st is that maybe they didn't all make the connection between Anakin and Vader, but the 501st did make the connection of Vader's our commander, and Vader looked at, bringing these randos? No. I want clones, and then when I can't have clones anymore, I want the best. Vader was always precise.
Oh yeah. Well, and let's hope and pray that soon we get Vader Episode 2 from Star Wars Theory, because as you can see from the teaser trailer he dropped several months ago, storming the remnants of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, he has the 501st with him, you know, wiping house essentially, and going after Mace Windu and stuff. So let's hope we can see that fan film very soon, because it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, I actually, and one of the scenes in Attack of the Clones I truly enjoyed is when Obi-Wan is being brought around, seeing the clones, and if you see those shots, you can see them like doing the hand-to-hand combat before you see them sitting at the computer desks and stuff like that, like
the Camino cloning facilities.
Yeah, those are some great scenes, and if you watch too, you see some of the commanders, putting on their different color helmets, like the yellow stripe and the blue stripe. So I always thought that was
Don't
pretty
you
cool.
love that the Gen 1 clone armor too? Don't you just love it? It's fantastic. Yeah.
The one thing also I
the
want to
later
bring
ones
up,
look better.
the one thing I want to bring up too was I always thought, Commander Cody was the Grand Marshal, because that's the first person Palpatine calls. I know there's other people says, well, there's other Grand Marshals, but no, the first person Palpatine calls is Cody. Like,
Mhm.
it's now is time. So
Do you
Right.
think that's because maybe he had concerns for Obi-Wan? He wanted Obi-Wan down first because he knew he was tied with Obi-Wan. So, he's seeking out Anakin, Palpatine is. So I got to get Obi-Wan out of here first, eliminated.
maybe I'm not too
Yeah.
sure, but I always, that's the way I always looked at it. I always thought, because Commander Cody was the guy.
I'm sure
And
he was
I
a
agree.
priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was with Obi-Wan, who was, basically the lead guy out there.
I
Exactly.
gotta ask this as well too, because there's something curious about how he ordered the strike against Obi-Wan on Utapau. Like, because Obi-Wan was climbing the walls with his lizard. I can't remember what the creature's name was, but he was climbing the walls, try to reach to the higher levels on Utapau. And then Cody basically had the ATTE fire next to Obi-Wan rather than fire directly at him. Do you
No,
think
the
that
aim was at him.
was it at him? Because
I
It was
think
at
it was. I think they were aiming for him. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
the
Go ahead.
aim
Okay.
was fire on him. If you look at the novelization for
Okay.
that story, it explicitly says that Cody was like, God, they couldn't have given this command before I was supposed to fire on him. Like in the novel, Cody is like, God, I have to fire on him now. Couldn't you have done this before I gave him the lightsaber back?
Yeah, I remember
Exactly.
reading
all
You
that.
just got
right,
it back.
right,
Yeah.
right,
But that's like explicit.
Right now we got to piss off the guy that I just gave a
Explicitly-
lightsaber back to.
Yeah.
right. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
But I mean, one highlight there the difference in emotion of just like, oh, good, General Kenobi, you're here. Let me give your lightsaber back, and then within seconds, man, you couldn't have given me the order to kill him before I gave him his lightsaber. Like, what
Totally
has to
random,
change your
too.
mind for that to happen? But like, that's the whole point, though. That's the whole point. Of the prequels is like they did all these troops. I mean, go and watch these shows. Go and watch these movies.
Oh yeah.
These the clones were devoted to their generals, and
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
in a matter of an instant
Yeah.
turned.
I'm
One
just
thing I'll
saying
give-
Jedi should carry backup lightsabers in an ankle holster. I think a mini half-size one. I'm always very in favor of that. Carry a backup.
One
Yes.
thing I'll give
Isaac
the
has a backup lightsaber at all times.
one thing I'll give the
times. I'm not telling you
Filoni
where it's
Star
stored.
Wars Clone Wars credit for is they did
don't
have an
wanna know.
episode where they had a clone trooper actually break out of the not break. He preemptively had Order 66 put on him, and then I believe he was able to like break that conditioning, and then that's when he kind of started
Okay, so
going
this is
insane.
the
In that again,
series.
I may be misremembering because I haven't watched the series, but I know about the episode. I heard a lot of people
Yeah.
discuss this.
I
one.
believe
It
that
a
was
curious
Rex.
one.
I believe it was Rex.
That was
I think.
Captain Rex.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
No, I don't think so.
No, five. Was it fives?
It
I-
could have.
Might have been.
I haven't seen it since it aired, so like 10 years ago at least. So
Oh, I'm trying to think.
no, over that now. Wow.
It was five.
Yeah.
It was five.
So- Okay,
Yeah,
so
it
it
was-
was
telling you,
yeah,
it
it
was
was
five.
fives.
Okay, so it was
Yeah.
fives. All right.
But
What-
I want to go back because
It was fives.
Even
If fives
even in the gym.
goes,
Go ahead.
okay.
Spit it out, Lex.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna go quickly.
The story
like,
of
Go ahead.
fives. The
Oh,
story
boy,
of
here we go.
fives.
So I was gonna bring back the back
Fives.
to the Taranovsky
Figure-
cartoon.
Right.
When I love the part when Commander Cody shows up and he's just like where he goes, I think he says to Obi-Wan, we've been here for like 3 months, and Cody's just like, we're right on schedule, and he takes off in his jetpack.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I remember
Dude,
that.
they had
actually, I do.
jetpacks too. They can,
Yeah.
it's like I want.
They can
Wouldn't
fly.
that be nice to see? Yeah, they can fly.
Yep.
And dude, yeah, they were so cool. And remember in Tartakovsky, I can't say it. Tartakovsky.
Tartakovsky's.
yeah, whatever. On Coruscant, the inner city battles.
Yeah.
In amongst the
Mhm.
buildings, ships crashing into buildings, gunfire, like all of that was just incredible.
Yes.
Well, again, not only for that battle on Geonosis, it would have been nicer to see. I would have liked to have seen more of the battles in space.
Yes,
Just
Definitely.
one-offs.
more of
Seeing those Star
Anakin's,
Destroyers.
more of Anakin's
More
piloting
starfighter
skills, too.
battles, all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Just seeing
Big
the
time.
Star Destroyers just going at the Separatists, just going at each other. Like there were some cool shots, but I would like to have seen more. And that's what happens in the Tartakovsky when they all pop in.
Yeah.
Because I love that overview beginning scene with you see you got the sun glaring on the Star Destroyer. And you just see how big and complex that thing is. It was just like it was like one of the
Dude,
best.
I kind of want like a full size, like a model of it, like a 3
Well, they
foot
got
model.
they have a Lego one of that Ventnor. It's as big as a car.
That's insane. I need to see that. Wow.
I remember seeing it.
I'm sure being Lego, it's probably going to cost as much as a car too.
Yeah.
Considering. Yeah. But no, I think that's a good point too. The ship designs, the ship designs in the original trilogy are fantastic, but they really stepped it up for the prequels. Some of the designs of the ships, and we just lost Lex, but that's all right.
Oh no!
Oh no! What's that?
Anyway.
What happened?
I'll just see if I can find it here.
Well, you got to understand too. The rebellion, they took what they could get. They didn't have much of a choice in what they were getting. You look at Naboo. They had the sleekest fighters because they were a peaceful nation. Just like guards, or they weren't fighters. They were just police basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
they were essentially like the Swiss Guard, essentially, on Naboo. Yeah. Well, that's why it was so elegant too. They had the elegant pistols and the sleek ships and everything. Yeah.
Well, and then when you go back to they had and I hate bringing up Disney, but when they went back to before, it was all high tech. And I like the way the prequels did their technology, from Anakin's speeder, to the basically the X-wings before, they did.
Even in the Outer Rim, you can cobble together some scraps and then some tech with it, and you can make something out of it.
Yep. I fully agree. They felt much more technologically advanced in the prequels. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the way, and I love the AT-ATs, but I like the ATS, the
ATSTs, like the smaller ones on 2 legs.
No, the prequel
the
ATTEs,
the ATTs,
those were just
those can climb up the sides of mountains.
They were designed for that specifically.
Yeah, I mean they're so much more capable. It makes you think it's almost like they've regressed in technology,
right? Because the AT-ATs didn't seem too versatile.
Well, I would attribute it to the fact that they probably used a lot of this tech to conquer the galaxy early onwards, and since they managed to have a good tight grip on it, they didn't really need that kind of technology. They would just use something else to maintain control over the galaxies, shall we say, which is a big mistake. Because imagine having a mountain climbing giant war machine,
a troop transport.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just reading Old Renaissance Boomer. I would disagree with. They really stepped it up for the prequel. And the OG trilogy was all practical. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
That's true. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of,
I'll just say the fighters, the Naboo fighters. I like
the Naboo fighters.
So
much. The yellow and blue, and
very much. Yes,
where they had to bring it into Mando.
So
you wonder why they did that.
Yeah, something to redeem their horrible show with. Bring some of the good stuff. Yeah.
Because I just always believed the way they did did their tech. They did it in a perfect way. They didn't
Yes.
go overboard.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. I mean, you look, they had palm communication devices with holograms and all that stuff just casually on them, all that type of stuff, you know.
Speaking
Pretty
of
cool.
transport vehicles, actually, Isaac, because you just reminded me of one that this actually brings back memories, because I remember I was really big on Lego Star Wars a lot. Like, I loved collecting a lot of
Me
the
too.
sets for Lego Star Wars. And I think my most prized possession had to have been the turbo tank from Revenge of the Sith. It was so I had to look up the actual designation for it just so I could
Gotta see
remember it.
that.
They called it the HAVW-A6 Juggernaut, but it's basically like a 10-wheeled. It's like the 10-wheel tank that's rolling
yeah,
up on
yeah.
Kashyyyk, right?
Yeah.
Just a
It
monster
comes
of a
in, it just starts
machine.
shooting missiles.
Yes, that one was also it was a transport vehicle as well too, at least in the Lego set, because you had a little compartment that you can open up and you could house up to 6 Lego clone troopers in it, which was really cool. And then of course they had like they had sort of like a bird's eye nest that they had at the top of it as well. That
Yes.
was kind of positioned there while the whole thing was moving. But it was such a cool Lego set that I had. It was awesome. And it reminded me, like when you said, troop transport, reminded me of that vehicle.
Well, they used that in Rogue One.
Oh, you're right. I think I remember.
I think it was the deleted scene where they were carrying. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it wasn't the scene where they were carrying the rebel troops, but there was a scene where when they picked that girl up, don't even know her name, but
Jyn
Erso, they picked her up in that.
Oh, so she was in a Juggernaut as
Yeah.
prisoner transport when the rebels managed to find her. Yeah, now I remember.
I hate that movie a lot.
Oh, I fell asleep in that movie.
Yeah, I hate that movie. Yeah,
it's one of the few post Disney acquisition films that I did kind of enjoy, but I know that that's kind of a low bar.
Well, everyone enjoys the Vader scene. Well, listen, I enjoyed the Vader scenes.
It's fine.
I mean, like,
It's
outside of the Vader
it was
scene,
such
like
a cheap tactic to add that in.
Yes.
At the end.
No, yeah.
I mean, Star Wars Theories fan film
Purely
is better than that.
purposes.
Yeah, objectively
Yes.
speaking, it is. It's a quick nostalgia grab, but like, just for me personally, I would say that like overall, it is kind of at the very least, I'm glad we had a story as to how the Death Star plans were acquired in the first.
We already did, though. We already did before Disney. We had that whole story laid out fully.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
and they just totally ripped it off and bastardized it and rewrote it. And we had that fully fleshed out. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, I stand corrected. Maybe I could actually look into the true story, shall we say, which is what they would refer to as legend story. But I should look at the true story of how the Death Star plans were acquired, see what the comparisons and differences are.
Yeah, if you go even just going back to A New Hope. Well, if you go back to Attack of the Clones, when Dooku and Buddy, the Geonosian, were basically
Archduke Poggle. Yeah, there we go.
When you go back, when they're talking, because the one I love that. So I love those scenes.
Right.
With them, especially when they're walking in, when he's like, when the Viceroy is like, this is not looking good. But if you look in the background, you see the Death Star, the holographic view of the Death Star.
Yes.
Like it's just kind of rolling there. I thought that was pretty cool. And then of course they're talking about we can't let them find out. And then he gives them the plans, and the plans go from here to there. So it was pretty interesting how all that shaped in Attack of the Clones. So I thought they did that very well.
Yeah, they did the nods to the originals very well in the
well, I gotta ask this, because Palpatine obviously had his hands throughout this entire war. He was responsible for pretty much all of it. Could he have been responsible for getting, or at least hiring or commissioning, the Geonosians to like essentially create plans for the Death Star? Because I imagine that this is what Sidious wanted all this time. You think he initially got the Geonosians to try and design it? No, of course. So he probably got them to design the plans first, and then when he realized the tide was turning, that's when he basically switched the plans over essentially to the Republic, which would then become the Empire.
Yeah, I think he manipulated and he just play.
I
Now,
think he always intended to get rid of the Geonosians, though.
yeah,
Probably, I
Yeah,
think
he was
so.
playing everybody. He was manipulating and using everybody. Yeah.
Hmm.
But how cool was it in Attack of the Clones? The little red hologram of the Death Star.
yeah,
The little
Well,
two
it
and a
wasn't
half
even.
second flash of the Death Star. Just
Well, it
so
wasn't
cool.
even that. It's like what Kohlhauser said. You saw it in the background too when Pavel the
Yes, yeah.
Lesser was basically trying to get the plans from the main computer onto that little portable device to give it to Dooku, just so that way they could move the plans and take it away
Right.
from the Jedi. So you could see it there for a bit, and then you see it in full clear view for those 2 seconds. But yeah, it was really cool.
yeah. There's so many different, like even that one scene with So remember when I think Lex is still having issues? I think he must be having internet problems.
Oh, that sucks.
The one scene when Obi-Wan first gets on Geonosis, and you hear them, you hear Dooku and the Viceroys and all of them just plotting. When he's telling them, in 1,000 more star systems and are going to join us, and then the one separatist goes, can be considered as treasonous. I love that whole political aspect of those scenes, because I think it just
100%.
makes it what it is about. Like I was telling my girl, like, listen,
How a revolution can actually happen, or
Yeah.
an overthrow can actually happen.
yeah, it was. I was telling my girl, like, you want to learn something about politics quickly, watch Star Wars, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
But
I'm taking notes for no reason whatsoever.
yeah. But I love those. Those are great scenes, and Dooku, Christopher Lee, one of my favorite characters. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Phenomenal.
he just
Yes.
did it. The guy was perfect. And I don't know if you've seen some of the AI videos they're doing with him when he's younger. There's
I
some.
haven't
There's
seen
some.
any yet.
I've seen a lot of the AI, but not the Dooku ones. I need to
Yeah,
check that out.
I
check
have-
those out.
I have
Really?
seen
Okay.
AI videos of Star Wars where what they have done was they took Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and it's almost like a scene that's from New Hope essentially, and it's like these two are conversing with each other, and then you're going back and forth with Luke basically doing his he's doing like the little trench run trying to shoot the Womp Rats and everything on the God, what's that ship called? I think they call them T-16s.
T-16s, yeah.
Yes,
Skyhoppers.
T-16s. Yes, the Skyhoppers, basically. The scenes going back and forth with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon basically conversing about Luke, and then you're seeing Luke flying the T-16 and everything. It's a little weird, though, because sometimes Luke kind of looks like Tom Holland, and it's just like, dude, definitely still got to work on the AI, guys. Still got to work on it.
Maybe that's what's coming down the pike with Disney going all in with ChatGPT and
Well,
OpenAI and Sora.
Didn't Disney already announce that for Disney Plus they're doing some kind of
they're gonna
opening up
AI
the
creator
fan-made
program?
AI creations.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
Fan
they'll
film.
extend
They're
it
already
to,
jumping into
Star
it.
Wars.
So
Can I just say, I think I hate to give those garbage company any credit, but it's like the one good thing I can think of them doing is featuring fan films. They're probably going to vet, and they're probably going to
especially the
sponsor the ones.
history of them going after fan films of
They're
Star
probably
Wars.
going to only
Yeah.
sponsor and show the ones that kiss their what and
Right.
Oh,
push
definitely.
the Disney garbage. The
Toe
Ray stuff, the
the line.
Acolyte.
I think
But
the only thing I find a little upsetting, shall we say, about this is that it kind of takes fans to have to essentially fix it, and
Yeah.
they're using AI to be able to do it. I'm not saying I hate AI. I'm just saying it's like it is definitely lamentable that you couldn't, actually create the stuff yourself, like using cameras, using actors, everything like that. But I get it. A lot of these actors are getting really old or passed away at this point. Alec Guinness has long since passed away, so you can't
and
get
a
him
lot
as
of these
old
studios
Obi-Wan.
are not making what we want either.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So it's gonna be done one way or another. Like fans want to see a particular story that Disney didn't give us when it came to Star Wars. They're gonna make it themselves.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just like, and this is what, like, from like I like Boba Fett, but when I saw Jango Fett for the first time, I'm just like, okay, this is the guy.
Good.
So
Yeah.
when it was time to actually make a Boba Fett series, it was just like I was excited, but then once we got what we got, I figured, okay, well, this is Disney, and they just crapped it all, because I thought, you know, I would have liked to have seen more of Django, in the prequels, like a lot more,
I agree. Yeah,
you know,
fully agree.
because here's the guy who doesn't
Missed
care. He's
opportunity
just going to
there,
do his
'cause-
thing.
And to be the one selected as the model for the clones, you gotta know that he had a lot of stories to be told.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. it
You know
seems
what I
like a
want to
missed
play? I'm gonna
opportunity.
that Bounty Hunter video game. It's on PC, PS2, that era. The Star Wars Bounty Hunter. It looks really good. I've seen a lot of
Yeah, that is a good
gameplay
one. I
on
don't
YouTube.
have it, but it's good.
Yeah,
I actually
gonna pick it
remember
up, yeah.
renting that from Blockbuster. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very Jango Fett centered. Yeah, so
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I remember playing Shadows of the Empire.
On
Oh,
64.
yes.
I played
Yeah.
all-
Yes. Oh,
And then when
now
you
we're
have
really
to get
getting somewhere.
you
I
have
even
to
had
get-
action figures from that.
yeah, you had to get
Oh,
Boba
nice.
Fett's backpack, and
Mhm.
you have to fly. I could never make it over those because you have to fly from from the rocky
That's
steps.
the one canyon map, right? Where you're chasing
Yeah.
after him. You're chasing
Yeah.
after Boba Fett and everything. And I think if I'm right, the boss fight in there is you're not fighting just Boba Fett, you're fighting the Slave One. Because he's
Yeah.
flying in his own damn ship, his own fire spray, and you have to actually like combat him.
Listen,
You-
Ronan, I was told Slave One is an offensive term.
it's
They
Boba
don't
Fett's
use
ship
that
from
anymore.
now on.
Yeah.
But oh god, actually that I'm pretty sure I know there was a comic book series of Shadows of the Empire, but it really makes me wish there could have been like a film or a cartoon series on Shadows of the Empire. That was a
Yeah.
great story.
Best I got was I had the book on
Like,
tape.
I
Oh,
really
wow.
absolutely enjoyed that game, and I wish that they really fleshed it out into like a visual medium like film or television. But this day and age now, I'd rather that they don't touch anything that's considered Legends or anything that's extended universe. I don't want Disney touching any of that stuff anymore.
100%.
Cornboi, do you still have that tape?
Maybe somewhere. I'd have to
Yeah.
really look for it.
All right.
Yeah, I hated he always freaked me out though, but IG-88, because he, like, when you're on Ord Mantell and you're fighting him in that one area, and he's not even talking, he's just like mumbling, and every time you turn around he's there.
Damn. Yeah.
And like
I need to play that game.
be
I
yelling
mean,
and screaming.
to be a famous bounty hunter as an android, you got to have the moves.
Yeah.
He did.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you know what I really loved
a
was
little
Rogue
frustrating.
Squadron. That's the game
Yes.
I loved a lot. Yes.
See, I didn't
And
have GameCube,
especially 2 and
so I
3 on the
didn't-
GameCube. 2 and 3 were phenomenal.
I played
Yeah.
a lot of TIE Fighter versus X-Wing on PC back in the day. That was my jam.
Nice.
X-Wing
Nice.
versus TIE Fighter.
I only got this because of Ryan, because Ryan saying it was a great game. So
Yep.
I
Yeah, and
I
you
picked
could
it up.
win the fight at the end as Anakin. And
Yeah.
Yes.
change.
Yeah,
the
I had that on Xbox as a kid, and then inevitably as a stupid teenager you sell it, and then so
Yeah.
recently, like 2 years ago, I rebought that exact game, PS2, episode 3. Yeah. It's just
Yeah, I
nice to
did-
know I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. I think, what was the one I played? Pod Racer.
Yes.
I played
Definitely
the Pod Racer.
Pod Racer on 64. Yep.
Yeah, they
And
had
PS1 as
Star
well.
Wars, the Pod Racer, that they also had Racer's Revenge on PS2. They had a sequel to it. Yeah.
Okay, so it took a bit of digging, but managed to find
Ooh, nice.
Ooh,
one of my
Hold on.
original copies that I had
Shadow of the Empire.
of Shadows of the Empire.
Ooh.
Absolutely wonderful. This one I remember getting at a garage sale
I'm
when
gonna
I
see
was
if I
maybe
can't find that tape
5
real
years
quick.
old. And then I also have one of my other favorites.
Oh,
Star
yeah,
Wars
Rogue Squadron.
Wow.
This one was also great as well too. I
There
know
we
I
go.
also have Star Wars Episode 1 Racer too. I just need to do a bit more digging, but I know that it's
Mhm.
there in the box. That's where I have my all my N64 stuff.
Nice.
I wish I had my
Mhm.
tote of Star Wars stuff. I'd love to be showing stuff. Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, I on my Super NES, I had Super Empire Strikes Back.
That's a good game. Yeah. That's a rage-inducing game. I kept
Yeah.
falling into like the pits and stuff. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's a fun game.
Yeah, I missed those, but yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you can play them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all I'll say.
I know I can play them.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah, those are good.
no, I always because being young, going to watch Star Wars, going to watch Empire, watching Return of the Jedi, and then you're just, and I remember when they did the special editions, um I didn't mind the special editions because yeah, I know they're adding in more, but we went to go see them. But now that next year they're releasing the original print, of A New Hope.
Yeah. Essentially just updated, I think, slightly
Yeah.
Visually enhanced, but yeah, none of the special edition stuff. No, I'll say the special editions are George Lucas's true vision, as we all know. I still can't watch them. I watch my very old VHS box set of the original trilogy. That's the only way I can watch the OT is the old VHSs.
The one thing I didn't care for is when they changed the Emperor Vader scene on Empire. I don't like that.
Yes, I like the original face, everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love the one where he does old Renaissance boomer.
Well, I'll just address that old Renaissance boomer. Greedo never shot in the original cut.
Yeah.
Ever. He never got a shot off. So actually only Han shot. And George Lucas redid that to be like, oh, I don't want Han Solo to be a bloodthirsty, trigger happy guy. But no, that's really his character. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot first, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't find the tape, but what I did find were some original cards.
Ooh, nice.
Very nice. What are those? Return of the Jedi?
No.
Oh, really?
Ooh,
oh, nice.
Jedi.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's
Jedi. Had a bunch of them.
Dude, that art on them is phenomenal. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
pretty
super
good
cool.
stuff, actually. Yeah. I wasn't able to find episode 1 Racer, unfortunately, but I know I could have sworn that I still have it. Speaking of,
Nice.
very nice stuff.
Yeah, the stuff just actually I found the glass, a drinking glass. I guess it was from McDonald's or Pizza Hut for something. It was
Right.
plastic. So it was from Phantom Menace.
Oh.
So I got that
Yeah, I remember
somewhere.
for episode 3, they had a ton of Burger King stuff. I
Yeah.
still have some of mine. Yeah, the watches that came in the tins. I still have
Mhm.
mine in the tin and stuff. And just the marketing. I'll say too, especially for episode 3, the marketing took over the planet, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yes.
the marketing
absolutely.
campaign for Revenge of the Sith. I'm single-handedly trying to collect like every item that ever came out at that moment. It's just the lava packaging. Just as a 5-6-year-old boy, like that drew me like the moth to the flame. It was very attractive marketing. Yes.
Do you guys remember when? So Revenge of the Sith, excuse me, Revenge of the Sith came out, and then there was a leaked copy from Lucasfilm. It was a burnt
Really?
copy. The guy got arrested, but he leaked out a copy on I guess on a DVD, and
I
then
never
it
knew
went
that.
all over the place. Because I remember my buddy had a copy, and then I got to watch it at home. So
That's awesome.
Oh,
Well, it
man.
went right on the
Okay.
E-Mule or whatever it was.
Yep.
Back then.
LimeWire or whatever. It just
LimeWire.
Oh,
it went
LimeWire.
out there.
The only time I've ever experienced anything like that, I saw Thor: The Dark World before it came out.
Oh wow.
Very disappointed. That was not worth my time, but still compared to today. But Revenge of the Sith. Though, that being a
like
kid,
I said,
was like
going back
amazing.
to Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, it was just something that I like I said, I know there's the haters and other critics out there who, because they'll just come out and say, well, listen, those movies were garbage. Now the sequels are out. The sequels are great. Those movies are still garbage. And I will watch I will watch, Phantom Menace 20 times over before, because I won't even watch the sequels anymore. Like once it
100%.
happened,
Yeah.
I watched them. I was just like, I don't own them on physical media or anything. I was done. That was
They
it.
don't exist to me. They don't
Yeah,
exist.
me too.
I don't know what the sequels are that you guys
I
are
have
talking
them
about.
off the
I
back
just
of the
remember
truck.
that
That's the
they
only way I have
stopped
them.
releasing
Yeah.
mainline Star Wars films after 2005 with Revenge of the Sith.
They're
That's what I
unwatchable.
remember.
Now, because I remember even too when I asked Ryan, I said, Ryan, are you gonna go watch Revenge of the Sith for the anniversary? And he was just like, well, I kind of don't want to give Disney my money,
Mhm.
but for me, it was just like, you know what? If you're gonna watch this movie, it's got to be on a big screen.
I
And if
felt
it's in a
very bad
theater,
about
you
giving
just
Disney
gotta
money.
watch it.
I never got to see it in theaters though, as a kid. So it was the first time I ever got to see it in theaters. And the fact that I've been able to see it in theaters, my favorite movie, it was worth it. It was
Yeah.
worth it.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
I got to see Phantom Menace. For the 25th anniversary in 2024.
Yeah.
So
So
I've seen-
same with I. Yeah.
Yeah,
same
so I've
here.
seen episode 1 and 3 in theaters. I really am not happy they didn't put episode 2 out. I
So-
really want.
I remember episode 2 came out in IMAX, but this was like years ago. But it was short because me and my brother and a
Really?
couple friends went to go watch it, and we're just like, and we all looked at each other. Goes, that was short because when they
So
when
they
they
cut a
did-
lot of it out.
yeah, they cut tons of it out because
Oh,
it was for
man.
IMAX. Because I just remember it's just like, wait a minute, this movie is supposed to be longer than it should be.
Yeah,
They cut a lot of it out.
that's horrible.
Man.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Wow.
Yeah, but just the episode 2 and 3 especially have my favorite visuals for sure. I just love
Yeah.
the visuals of those a lot. Big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, there is a lot, and like I can just go back and just like I might even afterwards I might just throw Phantom Menace on
Yeah, why not?
because
I
it's-
rewatch prequels multiple times a year.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you. I don't know how you guys rank them, but we can do this. So I'll rank you my 6. So for me, it's Empire first, Revenge of the Sith second, then A New Hope, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, and then Return of the Jedi. So people may call me, but Return of the Jedi's last for me because of the Ewoks. That's what does it.
Well,
those Viet
if I
Cong
may,
really are.
I was 5 when Return of the Jedi came out, and that was my first Star Wars movie I saw in the theater. So that's number 1 for me. I do the exact backwards 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In my opinion, are the
Okay.
best for me. So yeah, all of the prequels are below the originals for me because as I watched them on VHS over and over in the 80s and 90s. So
You're gonna hate my rating. Yeah.
I think for me, because I remember visually like how much I really enjoyed watching Revenge of the Sith in theaters. I think for me, 3 has to be number 1, with number 2 most likely being Empire Strikes Back. I'd have to put Empire Strikes Back as number 2 because it's definitely a really good. And I'm not one for like downer endings and whatnot. I'm not like Dante from Clerks, where it's just like, oh yeah, Empire had the better ending because it's like life. It's like a series of downers. Fuck you, you nihilist. Okay, fuck you. Right. But I like Empire because it is very much a story where the stakes are getting higher, and that there's a lot more complexity going on with Luke, with Leia, with Han, and with like the journey that they're going through. There's a lot more obstacles and a lot more tough challenges that they have to figure out through. And sure, it's not a satisfactory conclusion, but they know now that they have to lick their wounds and they have to essentially regroup and gather their forces once again. Then I suppose number 3 would probably be A New Hope. 4 would be, I'd say, Attack of the Clones. 5, oh man, this is going to be a tough one. 5, I'd probably put Phantom Menace, and then I guess number 6, I'd probably put Return of the Jedi as well. Not that I don't like it, least I do still quite enjoy it, and that's probably one of the best things too, is that like all these 6 films They have their ups, they have their downs, but for me at least, you can't say that you hate them. Like I can't say I
Right.
hate them at least.
All six
But-
of them are great.
True,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I will watch them anytime.
Yeah.
yes,
I can't say the same about the Disney anything.
no, not at all. But actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, no, I would put Return of the Jedi as number 5 and Phantom Menace as 6.
Really?
Because there's definitely some emotional weight, I would say, in Return of the Jedi, especially when
Yes.
Vader and Luke are finally confronting each other, and you have Palpatine whispering in Luke's ear throughout the whole battle, like just
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
trying to convince him to join the dark side. That whole scene's absolutely amazing.
Strike him down and stand at
Yeah.
my side.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good. That whole fight scene is great. So that's my that's probably my whole list for the saga.
Isaac?
Yeah, so mine is pretty straightforward and simple, and I have came to this conclusion over the course of many years, and I'm foundationally secure on this.
Oh,
I
boy.
like all 6 movies, preferentially in reverse order of release. Episode 3 is my favorite. Episode 2 is my second favorite. Episode 1 is my third favorite. And then Return of the Jedi is my 4th favorite. Empire is my 5th favorite. And A New Hope is my 6th favorite. With also, I always have to mention, honorable mentions. I am a big fan, obviously, of the Tartakovsky, whatever, 2D Clone Wars. I'm a big fan of the 2008 Clone Wars 3D movie that released in theaters. I saw it in theaters.
So did
Yes,
I.
Yeah.
Filoni's,
Same.
whatever, Ahsoka, whatever. Just I like that movie. It's a big thing when I was a kid. You know, I saw it in theaters. I liked it, and also the Ewok movies, the 2 Ewok movies that came out. I'm a fan of those too. And but no, as far as the 6 go, in reverse order of release, are my favorite. With Episode 3 being the very firm king. Episode 3. Yes,
That's interesting though. That New Hope would be like the I don't want to say weak link, but like the
I love it, but it's the
Interesting.
one I've watched least.
hmm.
Yeah, just me. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd say it's definitely one you got to watch more and more. Like that, there's something about the very beginning of the entire journey, even though technically speaking, it's not. It's the halfway point, but it's the very beginning of this entire franchise, right? But there's something really special about it. I would say that you definitely should check it out more often. Like
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
whenever you get a chance, definitely watch New Hope again because it's really good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to watch them all again pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
watched like I said, I had them all on VHS as a kid. I watched Star Wars a ton, all of it, indiscriminately. All of them, I put on all the time. Love them. But
Yeah.
I'll say I've watched Episode 2 more than any of them. I wore that VHS out as a kid. I love that movie so much. So
Yeah, I'll say like for Empire, this is where I was more on the Empire side because I like the AT-ATs, and then I really like Vader's arc. I really liked how he was handling things. He was just like, you cross me, you're done. So I
Right,
really liked his I really liked his his appearance. But then again,
yes,
I'm a big fan of Anakin too from the prequel, so they just all mesh in together. So
Vader
See, I
felt like
liked
kind of
his
a mob,
redemption
like a
the
mob
most of
boss.
all that Luke could change his mind finally at the end.
mhm.
That's what did it for me.
Right.
Is ultimately ending the saga on a redemption.
The one thing I
Yeah.
do have to comment on Return though is that the one thing I despise most about the special edition releases was when they added the little yell that Vader does when he sees his son being electrocuted. The whole no, and then he grabs Palpatine and just chucks him down, to
Yeah.
shoot
The
and
silence
everything.
is so much better. Yeah.
Yes, no, absolutely. The silence is absolutely more amazing. It's just
Yes.
he looks at his son, he looks at Sidious, looks at his son again, and he decides, no, fuck this. I'm saving my son. I'm not doing this anymore. It's just a split decision kind of thing. He's doing it, and he's not looking back from it. He's just gonna go forward with it. And I hate the fact that they have to dramatize it by adding that no into it.
Well, even if you go back to Empire, when they changed the part, because the original part was "Bring My Shuttle," and then if you listen to that part, it was just like you hear his tone, but when they changed it over to "Inform my Star Destroyer and await for my arrival," it's just so bland. And we were saying too with the whole they changed the whole Emperor and Vader speech when he contacts him.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, there was no reason to alter that whatsoever. And like you were saying too, Vader's arc in Empire Strikes Back, he felt very much like a mafioso, like a mob boss in that movie. Like, I have altered the
That's
deal.
true.
Pray I do not alter it any further. And then his
Right.
sheer force of power. When Han Solo shoots at him and he stops the blaster bolts with his hand. Just there's some badass Vader moments in Episode 5. Empire Strikes Back.
I always love that scene when Han's being tortured and the way Lando turns to Boba Fett and Boba Fett turns to him, just like looking at that,
Yep.
it was pretty cool. And then the one thing I know you'll notice too is the part when Vader's like chastising him, but you see Lando put his hand around his neck because he doesn't want to be choked either.
Yep.
So
He can feel it.
That was a pretty cool scene.
Speaking
Billy
of
D. Williams did a great job of feeling suspense. You could feel the suspense whenever he was
Right.
around Vader.
Speaking of like the original trilogy and like the special edition re-releases, I just kind of remember too that Disney announced they're re-releasing the actual original cut of A New Hope, but it's in 2027. So I know it's a little more than a year from now, but honestly,
Are they going to clean it up and then? What do you think? They can digitally recreate it, or are they going to put it out just as best they can with the original stuff?
I think they're remastering it. I think they are.
I
believe.
I honestly hope that they do remaster it. I hope they do a good job with that re-release, because all I've grown up watching was mainly the special edition. I haven't had a chance to watch the original cut, but I would really love to watch the original
a lot.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I watched the original. I have the very old VHS.
It was much more entertaining to me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
without all those added things for the
and the Yub Nub at Return of the Jedi. I love Yub Nub. I'm a Yub Nub supremacist at this point. I don't care. So.
Oh my god. No, actually, you know what? I will say this though. One thing I did like, you guys can hate me on this, but the one thing I liked about Return of the Jedi with the special edition was that musical piece at Jabba's palace. I kind of liked it. That song slapped.
Okay. You're getting deported for that. I'm telling you right now.
I loved hearing it a lot when I was playing Battlefront 2 Assault on Tatooine, Heroes and Villains. I loved hearing that song play. I loved hearing the Cantina song play, where I'm just running around as Anakin.
That's the song the CIA is going to play when they interrogate me for answers. I hate that song. I hate that. Respectfully disagree. I hate that scene.
Do you guys know in so the original Battlefront, if you play on Tatooine, and if you play the Empire on Mos Eisley, if you capture the command post in where Jabba's scrawler, his ship is, if you get that first, an ATST will show up.
I gotta try that. I have that on PS2 and PC. I wonder if it's the same on both.
I feel like I remember doing that
on
before,
PS2.
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, if you go in there, it'll show up. Because I'm just like, awesome. I'm like playing one day, and then they capture it, and all of a sudden an AT-AT shows up. So I look in the booklet, and it tells you if you capture that command center.
I need to try that. Yeah,
that's
awesome.
I need to try that. That's really cool.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of good Easter eggs in those games. Yeah. A lot of good stuff. But those are the most immersive games. You feel like you're in the movies in those old Battlefront games.
Well, they tell you too. Sorry, go ahead, Ronin.
No, I was just going to say, because it's funny you talk about like Easter eggs and everything. I remember Battlefront 2, like you could fight in Jabba's palace as well. I think I don't remember if there was like a button or if you were aggroing on Jabba himself, but the hatch underneath Jabba opens up and you get thrown right into the Rancor pit, and you could get eaten up by the Rancor. I remember. that happened as well too.
Yeah.
That was great.
Well, even on the even on Mos Eisley when you're playing the other mission where you go past the Sarlacc pit and they can grab you.
Yes, yeah, that too.
Tentacles can grab you.
Yeah.
And there was no Little Shop of Horrors beak there to get you there.
Which there should not be. That's a horrible addition. Horrible.
Yeah.
It does
What
look
were
really
they thinking?
goofy.
Yeah, George got, I will say, love George, but he got carried away with the special editions, in my opinion. Jabba the Hutt should not be in A New Hope ever. Should not be. No.
Well, have you watched the deleted scene where it's the guy?
A human.
Yes, it's the guy in the fur coat.
I do remember that. Yes, I watched that.
Because Jabba the Hutt, Jabba was
wild.
supposed to be like a guy. He was a guy, not a slug. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
That was every time I watch that I have to laugh. And then like I don't mind the one part in Empire when Luke is going up the when he's climbing up the AT-AT, because you can actually see the leg moving. Right? So
I always wanted one of those grappling guns that he had. You know, it's like I thought that was so cool, like this big magnet and just boom right up to the top, and
right.
That was so cool. Cutting it open with the lightsaber, just that was awesome. Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been about 2 hours. It's up to you. I'm pretty much good still, so it's up to you guys.
I can go for.
I'm gonna have to bow out. I have to eat still, man. I'm starving.
Yeah.
But hey, thanks for having me on. You can find me on Isaac's show on Monday, and hope to see you there.
Tell them tell them what you do, where you are, where they can find you, everyone.
Yeah, just my channel, Cornboi_199 on YouTube, and at Cornboi on X. So thanks for having me, man. This was a great discussion. I enjoyed it.
No problem. Got to do it again.
Oh, definitely.
Excellent. All right. I'll see y'all later.
Peace out, Cornboi.
Yeah, I could do a few more minutes for sure.
I'm still good as well too.
Okay, cool.
Definitely really enjoying the conversation. Just actually looking back at all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, in terms of, I always have to ask this. So in the prequels, you know, we get a better, much more expansive Jedi. You know, look at the Jedi a lot more because there's not much going on, you know, in the original trilogy in terms of Jedi. Outside of like the core Jedi, you know, Anakin and Obi-Wan, do you have a favorite like side character Jedi, you know, on the council or some of the ones we saw in the Battle of Geonosis, you know? I always like to ask that.
Are we talking Jedi or Sith? Or both? Or
pretty much like just Jedi, like, you know, whether it be Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, you know, anything that jumps out at you.
I think the one for me probably does have to be Ki-Adi-Mundi, like, because he's like another. I want to say he's almost like Yoda in terms of like, you know, intelligence and wisdom, like presentation. Wisdom, yes, that's the word that I was trying to look for. He very much seems like a very wise Jedi,
and he's the only Jedi with a bunch of wives too, so he's a player, you know.
Now that detail I did not know about, but okay, that's good to know. That's kind of funny.
His population was about to go extinct, so the council gave him the permission to, you can have a bunch of wives because your race is going to go extinct, you know. So
all right, you know what? Fine, that kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But Ki-Adi's definitely a really cool side character for me, like one of the other cool side Jedi that existed, and it sucked what happened to him in Revenge of the Sith. Like again, like we were saying before, he was leading the charge because he was right there wanting to fight alongside the clones, and then the clones turn on him because of Order 66. And even when he looks back, he's shocked by this. It's saddening, but he's a cool character though. I like him a lot.
For me, I'm kind of like, well, I don't really want to say Yoda, but if I can go back and just say Dooku, you know,
that's a fair point. Yeah,
I
mean, he's a Jedi. Yeah,
I just really liked his character. I just think his character was just you know, the way he handled a lightsaber, the way his confidence just abode everything that was there. Like he was just, you know, I really enjoyed him. I'll never consider Ahsoka a Jedi. I refuse
That's
to
fair. Yeah.
but yeah, it would be it would be Dooku.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
I'm gonna
Dooku's
have to agree
definitely-
with Naganol in the chat. Plo Koon was one of my main dudes too. Big Plo Koon fan. A lot of cool side stories with him too. Once you find
Yeah.
out, like he really influential. I forget whose master he was at one point too. But yeah, Plo Koon pretty cool. And you know one thing I wish we got to see too. Plo Koon had a yellow lightsaber
Mm.
for a very long time, and it wasn't till later on they changed it to blue. So I think he might be the OG with the yellow lightsaber, one of the first. Yeah.
Again, I didn't watch a whole lot of the Filoni Clone Wars show, but if I
Yep.
remember right, because I saw, I think like either memes or like stills of this, but I believe there's a scene with Plo Koon where like he actually he demonstrates how much respect he has for his clone troopers that he
Oh
leads.
yes.
I think there's a
Yes.
scene where one of the clones says, "We're just expendables, sir," and he says, "Not to me," and I'm like,
Yep.
that's sheer dedication that this
He
guy
put his
has
life on the
for his
line
own
for the
troops.
clones many times. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
So I
there's
was
a great episode where they're stranded in space and he leads them to salvation. And he can breathe in space too for like quite a while as well.
okay.
And great episodes there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Disney clone, the Filoni Clone Wars series did a disservice for the clones, whereas
Yep.
the Taranowski version made them badass. They just
Oh,
made
yes.
these guys just like
I can agree with that. Yes.
like
Mhm.
do you remember that one scene when they're in their lat and they kind of give the one I guess it was Frodo, they gave him the kind of commando, the Schwarzenegger commando scene.
Yes, yeah, Captain
know, where
Fordo,
he-
like
where
right
he just
there.
goes totally savage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Was
Yeah.
he
we were
dual
talking
wielding
about
at that time?
we were talking
was
about it
he-
before, but yes, he was absolutely dual wielding. He had his rifle, his rifle at first, and then the next thing you know, there's a whole bunch of super battle droids coming out, and then he grabs his sidearm, using that as well, trying to essentially fend the position off. Yeah.
Yes.
But just
Now-
when they're in the lot, when he's like they're loading up their guns, the
Oh, yeah.
last thing they do is put on their helmet and they're like ready to go.
Yeah.
And then when
Weren't
they're
the
just
super battle droids more intimidating in that show too than
Yeah.
in the movies?
They
Yeah,
they
big time.
definitely did look it. I mean, the movies themselves demonstrated that they were clearly an upgrade to the regular battle droids. It clearly
Yes.
showed that they were intimidating because if you remember in Clone Wars, you had the one battle droid that got like shot and was starting to spaz out. The super battle droid just knocks it
Right.
out of the side. He's like, "You're fucking useless. I'm just going to
Mhm.
continue onwards." But yes, the animations definitely showed they were a lot more terrifying than you would imagine. It was
Big time.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
the one thing so if you go back to Revenge of the Sith and when Obi-Wan pops in on Grievous and all the droids, basically they're by himself. So and I always thought about this. It was just like, okay, what if the clones were delayed?
Yeah.
Because it's like he had the confidence and he had the strength and the power to take these guys on all on his own. And I always found that scene interesting.
I think we underestimate Obi-Wan. We
Yeah.
always say, "Oh, he's kind of a passive. He's not like a total savage." But he was the strong, quiet type for sure.
He has his moments. Obi-Wan
Yeah.
definitely has his moments.
100%. Yeah. Well, when he crushed that big object and crushed all the droids with it, in that scene you're talking about, how badass is that? Force,
Yeah.
force crushing this big metal object and dropping it. Just it was awesome.
Yeah.
It wasn't just any droids either. Those were Grievous's like
his bodyguards.
Magnus
Magnus.
bodyguards. Those guys
Yeah.
are very much quite the threats. And he just
Very
managed to
durable,
take care of
yeah.
them, no problem.
Yeah.
And as we know, they can fight with no head too. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I like going back from before. Grievous was one of my favorites. I wish we had more of him, because here, it's so funny because I remember when we saw Revenge of the Sith first time in the theater, when Grievous pulls out all 4 lightsabers,
Oh yes.
everybody was just like, "What the
Yeah.
hell is going on here? Who is this guy?"
And then he starts spinning them.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
And then I remember my buddy saying to me that this guy must have killed a lot of Jedi. you know,
Mhm.
for what he's doing, right? But that, like I said, at least the Taranovsky gave you more of him. But like I said, it would have been great to see him on Geonosis, just fighting clones left, right, and center, just going here, going there. You know, that would
Yep.
have been cool.
Oh, seeing a whole thing about a whole exposition about him hunting down Jedi, like him accumulating his lightsaber collection,
Yeah,
you know,
Right.
and the story behind each one, dude, that would have been so cool.
yeah,
It's
Oh
during the
yeah.
Clone Wars too, so there's like
yeah.
everything involved. You know, how cool would that be? You know,
Now it was pretty cool too, seeing that one scene in the Taranovsky where he Dooku's teaching him how to fight.
yeah. And
So
how
Right.
cool was it that Count Dooku could kind of like fly as
yeah,
well, and that he could hover. Yeah, I mean, we didn't see that in live action. You know,
no,
yeah, pretty cool. He had the beard of power too. That
I
sharp,
I
pointy beard. Yeah,
I would attribute his small ability of flying to the fact that, well, he was also Dracula, so he probably channeled the inner bat powers as well too.
this is true. This is true. Yeah, very, very true. I forget that. Yeah, I need to see that movie. Yeah.
Those are the Hammer horror versions of like the Dracula character. Essentially, they're a lot more involved with like 70s, sex and violence and whatnot, all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Yeah.
But
Well, if
it's
it's Christopher Lee, it's got to be good though. I
it's
bet.
still
Yeah.
pretty good. And Peter Cushing was also in it as well too, Grand Moff Tarkin. So
Very
there you
true.
go.
Yeah.
hmm
Very true.
But getting back to Star Wars, of course.
Yeah, I think didn't Christopher Lee call Peter Cushing because they were friends and said I
yes,
got a role in Star Wars, and didn't Peter didn't he base? I think Christopher Lee talked about it. He's like, well, it's a paycheck, at least something like that. Like he didn't think it was that big of a deal.
yeah,
I think Peter Cushing didn't. But mind you,
yeah,
his role as Tarkin was much smaller in A New Hope ultimately than
yeah,
Christopher Lee as Dooku.
Well, it's a small role, but it's definitely still a memorable one. Obviously, I
Very
imagine
impactful.
plenty of people
Yes.
still remember Grand Moff Tarkin. Like he was essentially let's put it like this. He was basically if Sidious was sorry, if Vader was Sidious's right-hand man, Tarkin was definitely Vader's right-hand man in that whole
I think he
situation.
outranked Vader at times. I think because he told Vader to chill out, essentially.
He did,
Um,
he did.
Yeah.
hmm
yeah,
But these two had a sort of mutual understanding, I would say, even
yeah,
though
Yes.
Tarkin definitely kind of like, how do I say, insult his old ways perspective, basically, because he even talks about how, I don't know how it is you still hold on to the old religions that,
Right.
give you this power. And even Vader himself has to kind of humble him a bit by saying, don't underestimate the power of the Force. And he's
Right.
absolutely right.
I don't imagine how you could criticize the ancient old, superstitious ways when you just saw him choke a guy from across the room.
Right. I know.
It's like you just saw him almost crush this guy's windpipe, and then you're going to make fun of his powers, his superstitious powers. It's like it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I always, for me, I always believed that. Yeah, they had that mutual respect for one another, but Vader still had the upper hand. You know,
Oh, yeah, just in sheer power. Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
because
he still did.
yeah, because just the way when Tarkin tells him Vader release him, and just the way he says "as you wish," just that tone,
Yes.
he said, and that's why if you go back to the I know we're doing some of the OT, but even if you go back to like when he first meets Leia on the ship, it was I kind of like Leia's abrasiveness standing up to him.
Oh, yeah.
And like it was just like if she only really knew who he was,
Oh man.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, and I think Vader was hesitant to push him because he knew if he screwed with Tarkin too much, he would hear from the Emperor too.
yeah,
As Tarkin was very valuable to the Emperor, and
Mhm.
Vader recognized that. His military genius. He's valuable to us. So
well, and then if you go back into Empire, that one scene before Han gets before he goes into carbonite, but there's one scene where Leia and Vader, they're essentially looking at each other, like she's just eyeing him in like fear, but she's also eyeing her. So
Yes,
it was
yes.
almost like, did she sense?
I think they both did a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some extra catch. Like, what's that connection? Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because in like even that deleted scene when the deleted scene is pretty cool is like when Luke is on the Millennium Falcon when they're trying to evade, and she what do you say when Luke says, "Oh, Han," because when Han got captured, but it was a
Right,
it was a
right.
pretty cool scene
Mhm.
Yeah,
because he's hurt, but he's just like, "Oh, Han," like
exactly.
it was
Yeah.
some of those
Right.
deleted scenes I really liked in Empire, like especially the
Oh
one
yeah.
when the when the Wampa grabs the snowtrooper.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
and he
yeah.
pulls him into the
Loose.
room.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
and then like Vader shows up and he's just like, "What the hell is going on here?" And the
Exactly.
guy
Yeah.
looks at him. He's just like,
There's I really would love, and I know it's every movie, but I'd love to see them add and finish those
"Yeah,
deleted scenes to all the movies. It'd be
Yeah.
awesome. So
Actually,
cool.
just kind of a side note, because once you brought up the Wampas, it actually reminded me of Shadows of the Empire again, right? There's the Hoth mission where
yeah,
Dash is there, and oh god, I remember for the longest time when I was a kid playing through that mission, I was scared shitless of running into the Wampas. Why? Because they were
Yeah.
basically bullet sponges. You
yeah,
could you could fire your blaster at that thing so many times, and then it's only after what, the 100th, 150th blast that you finally fire at it that it finally goes down. It scared the crap out of me anytime I ran into those Wampas. I would steer clear of any room they were in, and I would actually lead them back into the hangar just to try and fill them up until they would finally fall down. I didn't want to go anywhere near them at all because they do a shit ton of damage on you when you come near them.
yeah."
And it's definitely proven, like in the films as well. Those guys do a whole ton of damage.
Well, even that first when you in Shadows of the Empire, the first boss is that AT-AT.
Right.
When you walk into that room, when I saw that AT-AT for the first that ATST for the first, it scared the hell out of me
Yeah, yeah.
because you walk in there, it's just like, what the heck,
Mhm.
right? Because the way it pans at you, the way when you walk in, the thing pans at you, and it's like there, and then
Very
you got
ominous. Yeah.
so many rockets into it.
Yep.
I need to play that game, Shadows of the Empire. I gotta play that. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. You definitely should give it a shot.
The trailer is fantastic. I love the trailer for it.
Mhm.
Trailer,
I'll go
trailer's
watch
great.
that at least. Yeah, definitely.
You
Yeah,
know
if I
what's
seem to recall too, I think in The Force Unleashed, there's a portion, maybe in the DLC, but you can kill. I think you face off with a Wampa as Star Killer. I think you kill.
Hmm.
I think you kill a Wampa pretty aggressively. Pretty aggressively. So that's like you're playing as this overpowered character, and you finally get to take him down. It's kind of cool.
you know what's something that's actually super fascinating to me, because I just remember this for some reason, but Attack of the Clones, going back to that,
Mhm.
Dex's diner. That whole scene, I don't
Yeah.
know what it is, but like it it's for me, it's like equal parts kind of out of place because it's so strange seeing a diner setting, which is very familiar to all of us in the real world, obviously, but a diner setting existing in Star Wars of all things. But yet at the same time, they accommodate it so it actually feels like it's part of that whole
Yeah.
universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I don't know what it is about it, but it's like it's strange, yet it's also very comforting, shall I say?
Well,
Very
see,
familiar.
and it's funny that you say that because when you watch certain scenes in the prequels, they fit. Then when you watch the sequels, it's just like, what the hell is this?
They
Right,
don't
This
even
makes
right.
no
visually. They don't
sense.
visually even look like they're in the Star Wars
Yeah,
universe at all. At all.
No, no, because it feels like no, not feels like it
it feels
definitely
full
is.
to me.
It's being written and being produced and made by people who assume, oh, Star Wars is just lasers and lightsabers and all this other science fiction stuff. But you're what you're doing is diluting the identity of Star Wars by trying to add more things into it that you assume is going to be Star Wars, but it's not, because it just doesn't fit there. It doesn't work. There's a particular aesthetic, shall we say, and a particular
They have no
precedent that's
charm
already
or
been
character
set.
at all. Yeah.
No, it doesn't feel like a world that's living. and it doesn't feel like a world that's lived in. You know what I mean? Which
Well,
again, with the diner here in Attack of the Clones, it's strange because you would assume diners are only a thing that exists here in the real world, but you see this and
Right,
it's like it
well,
fits.
well,
Like it feels like
yeah.
a world that's alive.
Well, think about this. Like my whole mindset, I was blown away. What was it? Was it what was it? Rise of Skywalker that had those slow moving bombers,
I
Uh,
can't remember.
or was it?
Uh,
Or is it
No, that was Last Jedi. That was
Last
Last
Jedi?
Jedi.
It's just
Yeah.
like when you watch that, it's just like, why would you have slow moving? Okay, you've eventually, aged up in technology because you're the New
Yeah.
Republic. But why would you
In
have
space.
in space slow moving
And why do
bombers?
the bombs drop out like there's gravity too?
Yeah, it
There's no
just
gravity. Why are they dropping?
it,
Yeah.
it made no sense. Like you would have, why wouldn't you have a bunch of Y wings?
right? No, that's actually what I was just going to bring up too. Is like you still had Y wings from when the Galactic Civil War happened. Just keep using that technology.
Yeah,
But then again, there's also the fact that the protagonistic force, like the good force, shall we say, is the resistance. So all you're really doing is just copying, pasting from good things that have already came before. You're just doing a copy and paste.
The
Let's take the
Resistance and the
rebellion.
First Order. Oh, it's so original. Yeah.
Well, again, this just goes to show the butchering that came with the sequel trilogy. Again, what they did with the New Republic essentially was basically give us the same old Republic that occurred during the Clone Wars.
yeah,
It got to a point essentially where no one really cared about what was happening with the New Republic because you just kind of basically gave us Clone Wars Republic 2.0. That's all
Yeah.
that you did. And just as quickly as you gave it to us, you threw it all away by having Coruscant and 2 other planets basically blown up by the Starkiller base.
Yeah.
Just what in the hell is going on here? What are you doing? You're giving us the
Absolutely
same crap
horrible.
again. And I get it. Force Awakens is basically A New Hope, but 2015, just to try and get the nostalgia baiting going and just to get old fans to come in and try and make new fans. But the more I think about it now, I actually kind of regret having watched Force Awakens because I remember I was super excited at the fact that they're making new Star Wars movies. I was super excited because I grew up watching the prequels. I also had a chance to watch the originals on DVD and everything. I'm like, oh man, I love this franchise. This is great. And I wanted to watch, Force Awakens because like finally we're getting new Star Wars movies again. And then, I finally watched them like, okay, this is pretty fun. And then as time passes on, I'm like, I fucking hate this. This is terrible. This is terrible.
Ryan said I don't know if you guys are watching FNT, but Ryan said the exact same thing.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah, he just said, he's like, I fucking hate these movies. Like, I can't
I will
believe.
never watch them again for
Yeah.
the rest of my
No,
life.
yeah,
Ever.
never
I
can't
watched
watch
it
them.
once. That's it.
Like,
I watched them a couple times. I tried to give things a chance, and I can never watch it again.
So
ever.
the only one I've ever bothered trying to give a chance again was Force Awakens. And even then, as time passes by, I just watch it less and less. The one I outright refuse, and to this day, I have yet to watch it. And until the day I die, I want to make sure I never watch it. Last Jedi. I'd never want my eyes to be fucking cursed by that movie at all.
Yeah.
Considering
you.
everything that happens in it. Because again, you have a perfect saga that occurs with the prequel trilogy, and then it concludes nicely with the original trilogy.
Yeah.
You have, Anakin's entire journey from childhood to becoming Darth Vader, bringing balance to the Force, not in the way the Jedi expected,
Yep.
collapsing the Republic, bringing the Galactic Empire, Jedi are forced into hiding, and then comes the New Hope, which is Luke Skywalker. He understands his destiny. He's reluctant about it at first because it's thrusted upon him, but then he understands he has to basically become the hero that fate has chosen him to be.
Yeah.
And then he goes on this adventure with the scruffy looking nerf herder that is Han Solo and his sister, who he doesn't know is his sister yet, Princess Leia. And then finally accepts that he is a Jedi in Return of the Jedi, challenges his father, manages to convince his father to come back to the light. His father fulfills the prophecy once again, brings balance to the Force by destroying the leader of the Sith and thereby effectively cutting the head of the Sith once and for all, as we assumed it was going to be.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Well,
and then
I'm just
Disney
gonna
comes in and shits on it.
I'm just gonna ask you guys: do you agree with? Would you agree with the premise? This is my standpoint. Not to go down a rabbit hole. I just have to ask, and we have some knowledgeable people in the chat as well. I believe that bringing balance to the Force is the destruction of the Sith. Personally, I don't believe in the yin and yang. I don't believe in that. I believe that bringing balance to the Force is the absence of darkness. I don't believe in the balance stuff. When Obi-Wan even says to Anakin on Mustafar, yeah, you were destined to destroy the Sith, not join them. That's what the prophecy of the Chosen One was to destroy the Sith. And that's what I believe George Lucas's vision is the not equal side light, equal side dark, the destruction of the dark side. That's what I believe.
The thing is, though, is that George Lucas did take a lot of inspiration from Eastern myths and Eastern mysticism.
Yeah.
That's kind of the reason why, the prevailing theory would be that Anakin brought balance to the Force by collapsing the Jedi. But I understand where you're coming from, though, Isaac. I do, because it's very much a good versus evil kind of perspective. And Star Wars is definitely all about good versus evil. I would be more inclined to actually agree with you that true balance of the Force is the complete destruction of the Sith. The only thing is, obviously, it's not to bring religion into it, but that's more of a Western and Christianized kind of perspective, shall we say?
Right.
Not to say I disagree, because I absolutely would agree with it. But Lucas,
you're saying in context of Star Wars,
right? In
mythology,
in context of Star Wars mythology, which does take some concepts of Christian faith and religion, considering that Anakin's mother was essentially impregnated
Mary
by the Force.
Yeah.
She is essentially the Star Wars version of Mary. But then you have a lot of Eastern interpretations and Eastern perspectives as well, too, which is, of course, the concept of balance of the Force. I think George definitely was leaning more into that. But I do agree with you, though, that destroying the Sith definitely is more attuned to like a true sense of balance, because now you don't have those more darker desires and temptations trying to cloud the minds of all Jedi.
Yes. Yeah, I believe that the moment Vader killed Palpatine and turned back to the light side and there was no more Sith, I believe that's when the prophecy of the Chosen One was fulfilled totally.
Yes.
And there was balance brought back to the Force. And then, of course, in the EU, as I'm sure Alex in the chat, he's the EU expert here. He's been reading all the novels and posts it on X.
Nice.
The EU, of course, more Sith come back into play.
Right.
And then we have, Skywalker grandchildren and great-grandchildren that have to fight them and all this other stuff. But I think at that point, Vader turning back into Anakin in his final moments, he brought balance to the Force. I believe that was the prophecy of the Chosen One, fulfilled the destruction of the Sith.
I mean, like all those Sith that are returning and struggling against the Skywalker lineage, shall we say? The prophecy of the Chosen One isn't negated because of that. I would still say that it's just the eternal struggle between good and evil.
Exactly. Yes.
So the prophecy of the Chosen One was fulfilled, absolutely. And
it was never meant to be eternal. It was just in that time frame. Yeah.
That one time frame was the prophecy, and now it was completed and fulfilled, and that's that. Yep. Now other struggles will continue, but for that time, that one story has come and gone.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, it was never nothing in the prophecy of the Chosen One that they talked about had anything to do with the Sith being destroyed forever. Just in that time and place, the balance was brought, essentially. Yeah. And then it also gave a new beginning for the new Jedi Order. In the expanded universe, Luke started the new Jedi Order. And the better Jedi that had the better beliefs, than the more dogmatic Jedi Council in the prequels, which we inevitably saw brought their downfall.
Right.
Yeah, and somehow Palpatine returned.
Oh, God,
So, and they fly now too.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
fly
they
now.
fly now.
They fly now. Can we just agree too that the dialogue in those movies, forget about the lore and everything, just the
Jesus.
dialogue is straight up trash. The
Well,
dialogue's trash.
bypass the compressor. It's like,
And
you
this
just
is
got
why
into
I
the
never
ship, for
understood.
God's sake.
And this
I
is why I
know.
never understood when people try to rail on the prequels. Like the dialogue in the sequels are bad. I mean, really,
Yes.
really
I
bad.
say the dialogue in the prequels is great.
Yeah,
People
so do
bag
I.
on Hayden Christensen. I think his delivery is perfect because he's emulating the robotic nature of Vader. You know, the what do you want to call it? I can't think of the word. Binary. He kind of speaks in binary
Oh,
a
okay.
little
I
bit.
see what you
Yeah.
mean.
Hayden Christensen listened to Darth Vader's speaking portions and that kind of monotonous, you know, speaking
I-
pattern, and he tried to emulate it as Anakin. You know,
I attribute the dialogue that exists in the prequels mainly to the fact that this is Lucas definitely like bringing the opera in the space opera that is Star Wars, essentially.
yes,
It's supposed to be dramatic. It's almost supposed to feel Shakespearean, essentially. And I guess to some people, that Shakespearean level of sincerity, shall we say, almost seems cringe to them. Which, not to go on a tangent of other IPs, but it is kind of funny that people nowadays joke about the dialogue that exists. Even I'm to blame sometimes for that, but people like to joke a lot about the dialogue that existed in the prequels because yes, there is sincerity to it, and I guess that sincerity is a bit too much for a lot of, well, let's face it, insecure people that exist nowadays. But
Yeah.
Big time.
I look back at it, yeah, sure, there's something about it that's memeable, but like overall,
oh,
there's a lot of
100%
sincerity
memeable.
to it.
It's very unique and
It
stands on its
it
own.
it, it was
It's
written in the
abstract. Yeah,
it was written in a manner that like the people behind this really cared about what it is that they're creating. They cared
yeah.
about what it is that they're presenting, and they're not trying to make it to have you take it super seriously, but they're making it to show you that this is a story that definitely means a lot in this entire universe. This is a story that's going to essentially shape the universe as as you see it.
But can we just address too, like the psychology of Anakin Skywalker in the prequels? He was not a middle class kid from the American suburbs that had it all
No.
good. First 9 years as a slave, then 10 years being indoctrinated by the Jedi Council, for better or for worse,
Mhm.
told to reject your emotions while he's having visions of his mother being tortured and also having dreams of this girl that he loved that he hasn't seen for a decade. He's
Right.
going to be a little maybe emotionally restricted and a little bit reserved in his speaking patterns. He's not going to be this happy-go-lucky older teenager that's like, I'm ready to be a Jedi and save the day. Like he's gonna have some idiosyncratic quirks to him, definitely.
Well, I
With
mean,
all
that's what I was
baggage.
saying like way before, like earlier in the stream is like you have to really think about Anakin's mindset during Attack of the Clones. I understand Lex definitely was really pissing hard on the romance of it, but again, you have to consider the fact that 9 years, his entire life, he was just a slave, and then going from
Yeah.
essentially level 0, being a slave, to then jumping up to being part of the Jedi Council, being
Yeah.
trained as a Padawan. You're talking about the most elite warriors in the galaxy, the high protectors of the Republic.
You're essentially like what, special ops at that point? Like
I
not
would
really, but in terms of status,
no,
like the Royal Guard. Yeah.
yes, no, that's what I was gonna say. I'd attribute it more to being part either of the Royal Guard or being
Yeah.
part of the King's Knights. That's essentially what's
Exactly. Yeah.
happening. You shot up in status real
Yeah.
quickly, but
Went from
you're
being a
also
slave with Otto bossing you around. Yeah.
it's kind of almost similarly to because it's interesting you bring the psychology up. It's almost similar to King Arthur, I would say. It's almost very similar to
Yeah.
King Arthur. And I remember because a couple weeks ago, me and the homies at the For the Homies podcast. I hope you don't mind me shilling that there real quick. But we actually watched the old Excalibur movie from the 1980s, and it's
Oh, nice.
actually a really good movie. I would
I
recommend
need
it
to
as well
watch
too.
that.
But you notice that Arthur himself changes drastically throughout the whole film, just from getting the sword in the stone, picking up Excalibur, and the idea of kinghood being thrusted upon him at so early an age. He essentially now has to lead all of Britannia from any and all threats that would come before him. And then you see how, as the film goes by, his psychology is drastically changing. All of this responsibility on him, and trying to understand what his prophecy and his duty is supposed to be to his people, what he's supposed to do, like what kind of advice the wise mage Merlin can give him and everything. And it's almost similar to Anakin as well too, because he's getting all of this training from the Jedi, from these
Yep.
wise wizards, shall we say. And then he's being thrusted upon to protect who would be his future wife. And it's almost it's almost like too much for this young boy. Just like how kinghood was too much for King Arthur, and
Right.
he had his moments of like falling from grace, and then finally managed to find himself back to being a king once again before his final battle. The only difference, of course, Anakin fell from grace and never got
Yep.
back to that until he finally confronted his son, confronted his past essentially, and
Yep.
managed to come face to face with the darkness and the light within him.
Mhm.
Renaissance Boomer also brings up something as well.
That's
too.
a great point.
Palpatine was whispering in his ear through the whole time, trying to be best friends with
Yeah.
him. He had that little
So he's
devil on his
internally
shoulder.
conflicted too, massively. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point Obi-Wan knew about that, because that's why Obi-Wan kept on
Yeah.
saying, he felt so uncomfortable.
Obi-Wan knew that him and Padme were together. He knew they got
Yeah.
married. He sensed it. He knew, but he
And-
overlooked it because, unfortunately, he allowed more of a brotherly relationship with them rather than father and son. Obi-Wan probably should have been more heavy-handed with Anakin.
Or
Definitely.
master and trainee as well too. Like he didn't
Exactly.
stick
Yes.
hard enough with that kind of relationship. That's why he overlooked
Yes.
it.
Because he
But
didn't want to train him. It was meant to be for Qui-Gon. Yeah.
But the council also understood the relationship that existed between Anakin and Palpatine as well. That's why they asked Obi-Wan to ask
Right.
Anakin to basically spy on Palpatine, because they knew Palpatine was up to some shady business. They just didn't know for sure what it could be. But they knew that there was something up with what Palpatine was doing, especially considering that
Right.
he wasn't giving back the emergency powers that they gave him during Attack of the Clones. He had those emergency powers so that way they could get the clone army. But like Caesar, he refused to relinquish that power. And
Yep.
so the Jedi Council basically needed somebody to spy on him. And who else better than Anakin, who was basically, his closest friend and advisor.
Yep. And well, you see how shocked Mace Windu was when Anakin confessed to him, "I believe that Palpatine is the Sith Lord we've been looking for." And Mace Windu's like, "A Sith Lord," essentially. And so even he didn't see that coming, even though they didn't trust Palpatine. So
Well, it's a serious accusation. That's the thing.
it is.
But
Yeah.
they were willing to listen to him on it. Sorry, go
Well,
ahead, Kawaza.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, then when you go say at the end of Revenge of the Sith, how upset Obi-Wan was after this betrayal happened, after cutting off his legs, and then if you go into A New Hope, in the way Obi-Wan was just like, he was a good, if you listen to what he says, and he was a good friend,
Mhm.
Yes.
he's still feeling those, the hardship of what happened, how he turned,
Mhm.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Right.
and that's why when you go back and you just look at Obi-Wan in the prequels, and you look at Obi-Wan in A New Hope, his character shifts where he basically failed,
Yeah.
in bringing Anakin.
And he had to kill him too.
Yeah.
And remind you too, in A New Hope, he still believes that he killed Anakin, his best friend.
Yeah.
He's
No,
been
no,
living
well-
with it like, I killed my best friend.
Well, no. Well, here's the interesting thing though, because if you remember in A New Hope, he did also say, there was a young Padawan by the name of Darth Vader who had
Yes,
killed your
yes.
father. He
Yeah.
tried separating the two so hard
Yes.
because again, it's like what you say, Cole Hauser. It was so shocking to him what he had to do to his Padawan, to his brother, to his best friend, that
Yep.
he tried essentially separating the two individuals from each
Mhm.
other because he didn't want to contend with the fact that they were the same person.
Right.
Anakin became Darth Vader. And yes, that kind of that description of Anakin did come back in Return of the Jedi when Luke basically confronted Obi-Wan about, you told me that Darth Vader killed
Yeah.
my father, and he's like,
From a certain
what
point
I
of view.
yes, the whole famous from a certain point of view line.
Yeah.
But again, that's because Obi-Wan was still having a tough time
Yeah.
understanding that reality.
He was in
Mhm.
denial for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and then if you look at even when you go back, like Uncle Owen, when Aunt Beru says he's too much like his father,
Oh yeah,
and then when he goes, "That's what I'm afraid of."
right.
So he actually knew who he was, and then what he was about, and then of course in that cut scene in A New Hope, towards the end when the commander Red One basically said, you know, I knew your father. I flew with him.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
That's
it's pretty.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how this all comes back to you know Obi-Wan didn't want to train him to Obi-Wan having to train him, having to basically kill him, and then basically relive again because he's back.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, imagine being Luke too. General Skywalker was a legend from the Clone Wars. And
Yeah,
imagine being Luke. You're being dragged into the rebellion, and then you're
Mhm.
hearing these stories about. Wait a minute, Skywalker. Wait, my dad was a legend. My dad was a
yeah.
hero, and then not knowing till the end of Empire Strikes Back, like, oh damn, my dad is this guy. Okay, no,
Right.
I still believe that was one of the even to me seeing that when I watch Empire again, it's just like the fact that his father was trying to kill him and then reveal that he's his father.
yeah. That's tough
It's
love, man. You
oh,
cut your son's
it
hand off.
very
Yeah.
is.
Well, Vader knew too that it would take hatred and anger to turn him. So I have to hurt him, and I have to make him hate me to join me. He's not
Right.
going to join me on his own volition. The only way to turn him to the dark side, I have to make him hate me. And he was doing that. So
Yeah,
pretty
it was
crazy.
almost of the way like Vader tested Luke.
Yeah,
Is he as powerful as the Emperor claims to be, and will we be able to turn him? If not, we got to be ready, to take him out.
exactly. Yeah,
Right.
because mind you, the Sith too, they see other powerful, force sensitive people as a threat to their power.
Mhm.
The rule of two and all of that. So could he
Well,
overthrow me one day?
yeah. Well, Jose Taco brings up the point. Remember, his aunt and uncle did not know Anakin was very. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think he knew. I think because who
may have.
if Owen is saying that's what I'm afraid of, who would he be referring to?
I mean, when was the last time he saw Anakin? When they buried his mother, I believe.
Yeah,
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
He was in a
And
very dark state right then. Maybe he knew he slaughtered the Sand People. Maybe Anakin told him, and
and
maybe he's like, okay, he just genocided all the Sand People, the men, the women, and the children.
yeah,
He saw Anakin, even if he didn't know he was Vader.
I'd
Maybe he's like,
also
"Oh, I saw him.
I'd
He was crazy.
I'd also make the presumption too that when Obi-Wan brought Luke to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru at the end of Revenge of the Sith,
Yeah,
I think he may have potentially said something about Anakin. Maybe not tell the
yeah,
whole
but
story, but I think
thought
he may
Anakin
have
was dead
actually
at that
told
point,
them.
though.
Hmm?
Obi-Wan thought Anakin was dead at that
yeah.
point.
That's
He
true
thought he
too.
killed him and left him to die. Because Obi-Wan never knew that Vader was Anakin until A New Hope on the Death Star. So the
Yeah.
entire time on Tatooine, he thought Anakin was dead, and he thought Darth Vader was a new. Yeah, it's weird that that's a lore problem between the two trilogies. When you think of it, we're trying to
What
connect where there's nothing to connect. Yeah,
what
yeah,
this is the one thing that I hate that I'm gonna have to bring this up, but Obi-Wan, the Disney series Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
It,
I
I,
unfortunately watched that. Yeah,
so fortunately, I didn't watch it. I didn't want to watch it all because obviously it is a butchering of. Because you bring up a good point. Yes, he didn't know about Darth Vader at all until A New Hope, and you're absolutely right because Even
Yeah.
even in that film as well, Darth Vader himself says, "When I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master."
Right.
That was the first time that they'd seen each other in a long time,
Yeah.
very long time. But then you put Obi-Wan into the mix, and it very much dilutes that. But at the same time, when we were talking about it before, r- with Obi-Wan bringing Luke over to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, if you were to assume that he may have mentioned something, but then also
Yeah.
presume that he believes Anakin to be dead, there is a little bit of like, I suppose, sort of a plot hole, shall we say, in all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the EU itself
Before
might actually
Disney,
say something that
before
answers
Disney,
it.
like in 2009, I think there was an Obi-Wan novel which I did read. So
Okay,
this George Lucas era expanded universe, and Obi-Wan was a hermit, for many years, and he went to Mos Eisley.
right.
He was at probably the cantina. He was at a bar. He was getting food or whatever, and he saw on a hollow screen, like a news cycle or whatever, the new tyrant of the galaxy, Darth Vader. And then in that novel, he's like, Darth Vader's still out there. I thought I killed him. Vader, Anakin. You know, um, it was at a cantina in Mos Eisley that he learned Darth Vader is not dead.
Well, hold on. So if you go back to Revenge of the Sith, when they're
Yeah,
looking at the recording, um,
of Anakin killing.
Anakin,
Yeah.
you know, and then when he goes and meets, then Palpatine says, "Now, Lord
Yes.
Vader." So he would have known who Darth Vader was
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
because he specifically says, "Now, Lord Vader, you've done whatever."
Yes.
So
Mhm.
so he would know
Yeah.
who
He
Darth Vader
essentially
is.
knighted him into Darthhood. Yeah. At
Correct.
that point. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Correct.
So
said,
Anakin.
And that's
Anakin
when
essentially.
Yoda and that sorry,
Yeah.
that's when Yoda says, you know, to confront this Lord Vader. I can't
Right.
remember the line, but
You're not killing Anakin. Anakin died right
yeah,
there. He's
Mhm.
now Lord Vader. Yeah.
yeah,
It's very true.
No, I mean that's why I said like I'm assuming that the expanded universe probably helps kind of clarify on all of this. And
Big time.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that there's an Obi-Wan novel that actually describes that.
It's
That's good to
fantastic.
know.
He would go out and fist fight with the Tusken Raiders to keep his skills honed and stuff. He would go fist fight with them,
Okay, that's
and
actually pretty cool.
that's like one of the few Star Wars novels I've read, and I highly recommend it because it's before Disney. It fills in between 3 and 4 perfectly.
Not to throw a curveball into this discussion, especially because this is going to be another expanded universe curveball, but I gotta ask, what are your guys' opinions on like the Yuzan Vong? Like
I'd love
what
to see a whole trilogy on that if
I think
George
that would
made
have
it.
been cool.
no, okay, good.
100%.
We're all of like minds then, because I haven't got a chance to actually read actual like books or comics regarding the Yuzan Vong, but like reading through what they are and kind of knowing what they are, it's
Organic
definitely
technology that's impervious to the Force. Yeah.
I no, that's the thing that actually gets me the most is the fact that they are not force sensitive at all. Like they
Yep.
actually come from a completely different galaxy, as if like the influence of the force just cannot reach that far,
Yep.
which really begs to like it really begs the question of like what exactly is the force if it's not able to reach that far? You know what I mean? How is it that the galaxy in which Star Wars takes place in is so special that this powerful state of being, shall we say, that we
Yeah.
call the force exists just solely here? You know what I mean? That's the one thing that I'm genuinely curious about.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, they kind of do that. They kind of rip off, not rip off, but they use that same concept in Stargate, even. With Stargate Atlantis, you go to a new galaxy, totally new alien threat that you have to use all new means to fight than when you were in, our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. So it's neat. When you go far enough, it's like you need to reevaluate your entire methodology for everything.
That's
And
almost as if
even Alex is talking about in the chat, talking the new Jedi Order. You go further on. Are you guys familiar with Abeloth? Even the
I
Mother Death. Yeah.
I heard and read a little bit about Abeloth as well too. I'm actually fascinated that Star Wars does have like its fair share of cosmic horror. I like the fact
It
that there's
does.
actually bits of cosmic horror in it. That's great.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there was so much to go through the expanded universe.
But no, wait a minute. Kathleen Kennedy said there's no source material
No,
when they purchased
No, of
Disney. She
course
said
not.
she said they have nothing, so it has to be an all new trilogy because we have nothing to base it off of. Star Wars has no source material. They don't have 200 expanded universe
Oh,
books
God.
or
yeah, but then they
thousands of
started
comics and
using
games
stuff.
whatsoever.
Yeah, but then they started using
Yeah.
stuff from the expanded,
Yeah.
in some of their
For the
shows.
Acolyte, they used Darth Plagueis, and they used that same
Oh,
exact metal that's
and then, of
impervious to
course,
lightsabers, everything.
Ahsoka, they bring in Grand Admiral Thrawn as well
Yeah.
too, which I
And they made
haven't
him
read the
fat and
Thrawn.
stupid.
But basically blue-skinned Elon Musk is what he looked like. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
pretty
unfortunate
much.
reality. And I gotta say, that's probably the most damning thing from Disney is taking one of the most intimidating characters in the Empire of all time and just kind of throwing him in there as an afterthought more than
Yeah.
anything. It's God, I can't believe it. You had so much lore that you could work with, but you threw it all away. Like
to make their own.
that's putting aside the treaties that George Lucas wrote up for a new trilogy. That's putting that
Yeah.
aside. You had an entire expanded universe where you could make all kinds of films and all kinds of TV shows about, and you throw it all away for a bunch of crap that nobody wants to watch, that nobody cares about, save for maybe Andor. People say that Andor is kind of good. I haven't watched Andor.
I'll
I'm not
never
really
watch it.
interested in
Yeah,
I'll
Andor
never
Either way.
watch it.
because we all know what happens to Cassian Andor in the end. Like
Yeah.
it's irrelevant his storyline because yes, he ends up dead on the beach in God, what's that place? Scarif is what it's
Scarif.
called. He ends up dead on the beach in Scarif along with Jyn Erso. They all get blasted and vaporized. It's completely irrelevant how they
In
get
that horrible movie that I hate very much.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I'll still defend it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
One thing, just to finish with the prequels, I did purchase at a used bookstore the episode 1, 2, and 3 novelizations, hardcover. The
Ah,
original
okay.
ones from
All
Lucas Books, the originals from when they came out. It doesn't have the Disney stamps on them, just the original ones. I also picked up what's it called? The first ever Star Wars novel ever. I forget what it's. Splinter of the Mind's Eye. I picked that up.
that's
well.
that's after that. Yeah, that's after A New Hope.
Yes, I
That
picked that up for
focuses on
99 cents, the original paperback, the old one.
Nice.
Wow.
And
all
so I'm
right.
going to read through those. I'm going to read through those pretty soon.
Awesome.
Very
I
nice.
read through the episode 2 novelization as a kid, but I got to read it again, And I've never read the episode 3 one. All you guys are saying there's so much great added stuff, especially with like Grievous and other stuff. I can't wait to read it. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, guys, I think we're coming up to 3 hours.
Yeah.
I got a toy screen. I got a toy stream in the morning.
All right.
I am doing some. I did a. I don't know if you guys saw. I did a sneak peek. So I'm going to be doing some unboxing of some Transformers I got. So
Nice.
don't know what's in them, but I got the boxes, and so
Very
it's going to be
cool.
nice to open up and show what I've got.
I look forward to seeing that. Nice.
Yeah. So again, thanks for this. I'm glad you guys were able to join. This is something
Definitely.
wanted to try out and do, and I thought this was great, and definitely got to do it again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I'm 100% that. Yep.
any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts, I would say I absolutely love the prequels. The original trilogy is also great as well. I will actually say that Star Wars definitely influenced me in a lot of like my own writings and in a lot of the content that I kind of like enjoy and everything. It's a huge, like, Star Wars is a huge franchise that before Disney bought it is one that I wish I could have got so much more into. It sucks that Disney has it now because I'm not interested in wanting to get into any of it. But if I could still ignore the fact that Disney basically owns it, I definitely want to dive more into the expanded universe and look more into a lot of that stuff. Yes, like what Alex says, long live OG Star Wars.
And it will. It will.
Yeah.
Disney doesn't exist. Forget that stuff. George Lucas's vision and everything else, it lives on. So
Yeah. So any closing thoughts, Isaac?
yeah, sure. Yeah, again, thank you guys. This was I had a fun stream. I hope we can do this again soon.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you, Cole Hauser, for hosting it. It was awesome.
Mhm.
I love the prequels. I love all 6 Star Wars movies because there's only 6. And but I have watched the prequels the most. They are a foundational and big part of my childhood. I was privileged to like when Revenge of the Sith was coming out. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and my birthday party was Revenge of the Sith at the time. Just really good memories. I still have a lot of the toys from back then.
Nice.
I've watched episode 2 and 3 more than any other movies in my life, especially episode 2. So just a big deal for me, and it's a fun time talking to all you guys about this, great story that's a big part of a lot of our lives. And I thank you to the chat for hanging out with us tonight. A lot of great people, and I could talk all day about this stuff. We could go
Yeah.
forever. So
Me too.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Ronan, where can people find you?
You can find me on X as at Ronin underscore Crusader at Ronin underscore Crusader 7. You can also find me on YouTube as well too, just as Ronin the Crusader. You can find me on Kick as well. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be streaming 2 streams. I'm gonna be actually it might be 3. I'm gonna be doing Death Stranding because I've been kind of slacking on that, so I'm gonna be playing through Death Stranding again. I'm also playing through the original Fallout as well, the isometric one, turn-based one.
cool.
That one's a lot of fun. I love playing through that one, and I'm playing through it again. And I believe I'm also streaming with for the homies. I believe we're playing Among Us again tomorrow. I'll just throw the invitation out there again if anybody's interested. We'll be on the GCA voice chat, so we'll be
Nice.
kind of hosting it there. If anyone's interested, you come and play with us. We'll be playing Among Us. And I'm also streaming with them again on Sunday. We're doing our show Matinee with the homies where we talk about films and everything. I think this Sunday we're talking about the life of Dick Van Dyke. And
wow.
because
Nice.
he's celebrating 100 years, and I believe now he's about to be 100 years old.
Wow.
So he's
Awesome.
lived a long life, and
Long-
he's got
long time.
quite the history when it comes to film. We're also talking animated Christmas movies as well too. But if you guys are interested, check all that out.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Isaac, where can we find you?
Sure. So yeah, Isaac 556 by 45, as seen on the screen on YouTube and X, predominantly Monday nights, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I stream the Golden Age podcast. You'll find a lot of these guys here. We have Ronin on. Hope we can get you on again soon, man. Cole Hauser's on. Cornboi, Lex. A lot of great guests. We're talking politics and some culture war stuff. Try to mix in some comedy and pop culture too. But yeah, and then on other friends' streams, like you saw here tonight, having fun and yeah, just around when I'm around. So thanks again, Cole Hauser, for having us on tonight. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Chat, thanks for being here. It's great seeing all of you, and we'll see you on the next one.
Hell yeah.
Thank you very much.
Anniversary to G.I. Joe. 199, yo Joe. 40th anniversary, huh?
No, a real American hero. That's what he means.
Oh.
A-R. Yeah, a real American hero.
I thought that was just like coming from the perspective of a Chinese Muslim. Like, praise Allah. That's what I thought that was.
I'm sorry, she made it wrong, but then when you brought the Chinese Muslim into it.
There you go. Praise Allah. Come get my she chicken.
Oh, shit.